Logo. What up, y'all?
We live already?
Oh, yeah. We are live already. Let me...
You didn't play the horn.
I did.
No, I didn't hear it. There you go.
Aww. Oh, girl, baby girl. Oh.
Yo, I do wish like fucking AOC and Jasmine Crockett were in these confirmation hearings.
Oh, dude.
That would be great.
We never get what we want.
Senator AOC.
And Senator Crockett.
Yeah.
So, see, that's the thing. I think Crockett could beat Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Easy.
I think if they didn't pick a fucking corporate Democrat, they could beat Ted Cruz. Like, Texas ain't that red anymore. And Ted Cruz is hanging on by a thread in some of those races.
Like, he was doing good against Allred, and then Allred's like, I am also partly Republican. And everybody was like, I knew it. Just go with Cruz. Sassy and silent. Hi. What's up, Billy? Oh, wait. Wrong one. Air horns for Billy. All right.
You see the danger
here we go.
of security chiefs
Let me grab
in
Tulsi.
authoritarian regimes
Gab.
becoming the tools of political power.
The toll hammer.
The characteristics that they often show are that they are vengeful, that they are grandiose, that they are intemperate,
Oh, my goodness.
that they are partisan and blindly loyal, and that they are servile
That's a rare
and
word.
won't say no.
Servile.
I'm afraid that the history of this nominee's conduct raises those warnings. And I yield my 1 second back.
Before Senator Cornyn, you said you'd like to explain something. I forget the point he made.
That was pretty funny, actually.
That was a good
do
one.
that now if you want to.
If you like congressional
Simply
hearings,
this,
that's
Senator.
comedy.
In the collective, all of those statements are
That's what
taken
he
out
sounds like?
of grotesque context.
Listen, everybody, I'm
Well,
taking over the FBI, and no one, and I mean no one, is going to be an enemy of the United States.
What a fucking fascist nerd.
Nerd. Melvin Patel. Melvin Patel. Okay, gotcha. Thanks, dude.
And anyone that thinks
In anyone. My name is Cash Patel.
He's so unintimidating. I bet he's short. Let me stop.
Oh my god.
my 16 years of service is an exemplary on how I would
16 years of
proceed
service.
if confirmed as FBI, is intentionally putting false information.
Easy, Tim. You're going to end up on the enemies list.
I don't know why I'm not already there.
Right. Fuck you, Cash Patel. You didn't even put us on the list, dick.
into the public ether
We need some
and
fucking
creating more public
publicity, too.
discourse.
Yeah,
the only
right?
thing that will matter if I'm confirmed as the director of the FBI is a de-weaponized, depoliticized system of law enforcement completely devoted to rigorous obedience of the Constitution and a singular standard of justice.
Ooh, man, I didn't think he was going to say Constitution.
Before I call on Senator Cornyn, I'd like to say
Man, Grassley losing a little bit of color every day. He gonna be
Yeah, dude.
He gonna be white as the marble behind him. I'll keep like let that man go home and sit in a rocking chair and think about the old days. And
I thought he retired already.
that we've heard about the January 6th pardons. I think it's important that we remind people at the same time of some pardons by the previous administration. Thomas Sanders, a kidnapper who murdered a 12-year-old girl named Lexus and her mother, Swell and Roberts, Adrian.
did you even read it before? Did you even read the victims' names before you tried to use them as political pawns? Did
Yeah,
you try to
just,
get the pronunciation right first, or did you just go for it?
He's got staff for that.
I told you to put the phonetic spelling on everything.
Yeah, right.
Sir, we did, and then you just read it like an actual word instead of the phonetic way, so I don't know.
He doesn't have time to know how to pronounce people's words. I'm surprised he got Cash Patel's name right.
He had that suit on since yesterday.
Peeler,
That's a nice tie, though.
Connecticut drug kingpin who was
Yeah, but why has he got blue and light blue and red and black and then gold? Like, dude,
Yeah.
pick a palette, okay?
Yeah,
You
you
can't
should have went
everything.
with something other than red for the vest. Like if he went with like a blue or like
Black.
a silver or something. Yeah.
The black would have looked slick. A black vest would have looked slick.
Yeah.
But he's dumb.
was convicted in the death of an 8-year-old boy and his mother,
Boy.
Leonard Peltier, that's already been referred to, that murdered 2 FBI
Allegedly.
agents,
Allegedly.
and even Director
You're talking
Ray,
about Leonard Peltier.
at that time,
Oh.
former Director Ray,
They shouldn't have
said
been on a
that
reservation
shouldn't have
anyway.
Happened, and Judge Michael Conahan, who took kickbacks for wrongly sending juveniles for profit detention centers, and Alex
y'all's
Saab,
guy.
who
Yeah.
ordered illicit proceeds for narcotics terrorists, Nicholas Madero, and was a key connection between
You don't know who Nicolas Maduro is? Like, this dude needs to not be up here.
Venezuela and Iran, and 5 family members of his own family. President Biden did that, Senator.
Welcome, Mr. Patel.
Oh, Lord.
This
Do you
fucking
believe
guy.
America is an exceptional nation?
It's the greatest nation.
Answer
it's-
the question.
no, it's not.
It used to be. But even then, it was all an illusion.
Your family went through a lot to get here,
They sure did.
and your
Don't make me I'm Wikipediaing him.
life story
God,
is,
don't do
I
it.
think, a great example of people pursuing the American dream. Do you believe what a large part of what makes America an exceptional nation is the rule of law?
It is one of the fundamental precepts that determines that.
And
That's
why
why
is
I
that?
support Donald
Because
Trump.
without a singular application of a rule of law, we
Without a singular application of rule.
Okay, first of all, this motherfucker's name is Cash App.
No, it's not.
KASHYAP.
All right.
His name is Cash App.
I stand corrected.
Yo, your name is Cash App?
Why were you named after an app?
He was born in 80, dude.
Why'd they name an app after him?
He was, oh, God. So he's 45? God, how do you get this crazy?
I don't
Patel
know.
was instrumental in drafting the new Nunes memo in 2018, which alleged errors in the FBI application for a surveillance warrant of Trump's 2016 campaign aid.
That's why.
Oh, you're just a little co-conspirator.
Yeah, he's one of those bootlickers.
Mm-hmm. All right, Cash App, let's see what you got.
go back to the Uganda that my father fled in Idi Amin.
You from Uganda?
I believe that the 2 most important institutions in
Oh, it
America.
says his parents moved first to Canada in the early 70s from Uganda in East Africa, where they were facing ethnic repression. Oh, so you don't like it when one group is trying to ethnically cleanse another group?
Yeah, right.
Oh, but you gonna facilitate it over here. Oh,
But he was
America,
never
to preserve
there.
and protect and enforce the rule of law are the FBI and the Department of Justice. And the sort of politicalization that Senator Graham and others have already talked about during the Crossfire Hurricane investigation or project of James Comey at the FBI and the abuse of intelligence tools
what
like
are you whining about?
Title
dude?
I of
Spit it
Section
out.
702 are a betrayal of American values and adherence to the rule of law.
Uh-huh.
And I think your biggest task is going to be, along with Pam Bondi at the Office of the Attorney General, is to restore the rule of law to the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Jen, just block them. Don't worry about it. You don't have to respond to anybody. Just block them.
Turn off the comments.
Yeah.
Are
fuck
you
them.
willing to do that?
Yeah, just fucking in the middle of their debate, just turn the comments off, and then turn them back on.
I I have done that.
Make them start over. Because you know they didn't screenshot it. Then do it. Fuck them.
Hey, if someone wants to fuck with us in the comment section, go for it.
Dude, just fucking private the video for like 6 hours. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Why is it private?
I can't even get in there now.
Start commenting on other videos. Why'd you make that video private?
Absolutely, Senator.
Without regard to partisan affiliation or politics?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do you believe President Trump, as the commander-in-chief, needs access to all of the lawfully available intelligence that can be collected by the American intelligence community in order to inform him so that he can make good judgments as commander-in-chief to assure the safety and security of the American people?
Having been responsible for the collection and predication and promulgation of that intelligence, I firmly believe he and every president must have it.
And so you would not support...
So if this guy's like super like American law, that's what we should be doing. Hey, dude, they had like cases of fucking like sensitive documents like on a basketball court, and then like on the stage next to the basketball court, and then like in the shitter. Like none of that raised any alarm bells to you at all, and you just sat there for 4 fucking years and let it happen. And you just care about, you know, like our national security and the law about like skiffs and shit like that. Like what are you talking about, dude?
Trump, when he saw those documents, he thought in his brain, these are declassified. And then they were declassified, and that didn't matter anymore. Yeah. He mentally declassified everything that he brought into his golf resort home that anyone could access for no reason.
Well, the reason would be to give him money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
That's the only reason you're getting in there is because you're bringing money.
Where do you guys keep all the intel on like the Asian countries? Oh, they're in the bathroom, you know, $5 so you can see what, you know, for 5 minutes.
Oh, he's a QAnon truther.
Yeah, for sure. Man, QAnon guy as the head of the Fed.
Yep.
Damn.
False claims about 2020 election fraud, QAnon, COVID-19 vaccines, and false claims that the FBI investigated the January 6th United States Capitol attack. Oh, the FBI instigated. He said the FBI is the responsible party for January 6th. And he's in a confirmation hearing to be the director of the FBI.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you see what happened was...
you idiots done?
What happened was there was FBI agents who were embedded in and investigating the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. Yeah. And they just happened to like fucking storm the Capitol one day. And so those FBI agents were like, oh, they're storming the Capitol. Wow. That's crazy.
Who could have predicted this?
Yeah.
How could we have known? What's up with this chat thing? It's not letting me open it.
But they think that like the FBI was like responsible for it when they were just sort of happened to be there because they were investigating the people that were storming the Capitol.
I like how nothing gets through our net. Hey, what are you guys doing here? What the hell? What are you doing here? Oh.
Any impractical or perhaps immaterial or unworkable ways to inhibit the flow of that information to President Trump?
No, I would not.
So let me just ask you, you and I have talked about this a number of times, and this has come up before in a number of different contexts.
Bro.
But as I've always said, I think Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act is the most important law that most Americans have never heard of. But when I was questioning my fellow Texan, John Ratcliffe, who now has been confirmed as the director of the CIA, about this, we talked about some of the reforms that have been made.
That is so crazy that at 125 he sounds like normal.
I know.
It's not just us. These people are from an era where their frames per second was only like 20. So they talk at a slower pace. We're over here at like 120 frames per second. So we talk like adults.
To Section 702 over the years.
Look at the trees, one angry pagan.
This has been an ongoing conversation here in Congress. People like
Yo, he popped up in a heartbeat. You saw that? Look at him.
Yeah, yeah. It was just like a look.
Over the
It
years.
was a look that he gave me. He was like, "Get up." This has been an ongoing
conversation here in Congress. People like my colleague here, Senator Lee, and others have proposed reforms, which I think have gone a long way to help protect.
Y'all couldn't get an easel. You
Yeah,
made that
man.
boy hold that sign until you gave him the signal. And you not even holding it straight. They gonna fire you. What does it say? Improvements made to Section 702 prohibits U.S. person query terms solely designed to find evidence of a crime.
That can't be good.
Increased damages by tenfold for violations of FISA involving U.S. person.
Amend FISA's foreign intelligence definition.
So they want to sue when they get FISA warranted? No, dog, that's not how it works. This is what happens when you start committing crimes, and then the last time you put in some sweeping thing, you get caught up. Like, we had the Patriot Act as a direct response to 9/11, and then FISA warrants were right in the wings of it. That means whatever the government wants to look at, whatever the government wants to surveil, they can do it, and they do not need a warrant for it. It's already on the books. So now they're saying, retroactively, now that he's going to be the FBI director, they want to increase the damages by tenfold of violations of FISA. So when people find out that they're being surveilled, they want to be able to sue the government for 10 times as much. He wants to increase the amount that the government has to pay for looking out for people who might be problematic or dangerous.
Sounds about right.
Sounds like y'all did some shit. Require the FBI to submit an annual report to the judiciary, maybe.
Yeah.
And intelligence committees on U.S. person queries and require declassification of the report. No, see, that's the whole thing. If I'm trying to find the head of the white supremacist group that's been threatening people online, I don't want to put that shit out so people know I got one of them and not all of them. Or one of them is testifying against the rest of them. No, I'm not telling you that. Fuck off. Impose new compliance measures for FBI querying procedures, including mandatory audits. Yeah, by who? Higher level supervisory review approval, handpicked know-nothings, and protocols to prevent overbroad queries. Lord. Amend FISA foreign intelligence definition to permit more efficient counter-narcotics collection, I'm guessing.
That sounds like
the privacy rights of American citizens. But let me just point out some of the improvements that have been made over the years. This is not the same 702s that were for the American people and the privacy and constitution. Senator Tillis, with his typical outstanding graphics, has a wonderful handout that lays all of that out. But one of the things that's come up, and we've discussed this, is the idea that in order to query lawfully collected intelligence under Section 702, that somehow, if a U.S. person's name is involved, that a warrant would be required. Now, you're a lawyer who's represented defendants as a public defender. You understand that what probable cause is required, what sort of evidence is required to be produced to a judge in order to get a warrant. Do you believe a warrant requirement is a practical and workable or even a necessary element of 702?
If I may just give some context on that, Senator. Having a background not only utilizing FISA and 702 as a national security prosecutor.
It's Aziz Ansari. Holy shit.
But as a civilian at JSOC and later as an intelligence official and the Deputy Director of National Intelligence, 702 collection formulates over 45% of the presidential daily briefing that you referred to earlier.
I actually have heard it's as high as 60%, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
He needs pictures.
The issue for me is not with FISA and 702. The issue has been those that have been in government service and abused it in the past. And so we must work with Congress to provide the protections necessary for American citizens, dealing with these matters, including hostage rescue operations in real time, which we use FISA collection to find and save American hostages. Having a warrant requirement to go through that information in real time is just not comportive with the requirement to protect American citizenry. I'm all open to work.
So he doesn't like what you're fucking putting up on your stupid poster board
Yeah.
because your stupid poster board is a stupid poster board.
With Congress and finding a better way forward.
You can't catch me. The proud was like, haha, you forgot to get a warrant, even though you know everything. Off to do my crime now.
But right now, these improvements that you've made go a long way.
Well, and Director Ratcliffe said that he did not believe that, given the context of 702 collection, whether a foreign target communicates with a U.S. person, that there'd be sufficient evidence to go to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court or any other court to demonstrate probable cause. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, just in real time, Senator, excuse me, it's almost impossible to make that function and serve the national no-fail mission.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you point out the lack of trust. Any of these tools can be abused by people who are willing to break the law.
Yeah, any of you tools can be abused.
Or abuse these tools or violate the public trust. Director Ratcliffe again used, I thought, a helpful analogy. I'll see if you agree with it. He said the knives in your kitchen have a very useful and beneficial purpose, but they too can be misused do you agree with that?
Absolutely, Senator.
And similarly,
Do you agree with that a kitchen knife can be used to cut food?
Yes, Senator.
What the fuck are we doing?
How many push-ups can you do?
I did 700 sets of 777.
do you agree that
Oh, did you catch the coded language in his little push-up answer?
Oh yeah.
5 sets of 47. Yeah.
Yep.
tools like Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act can be used appropriately to protect national security, but they can also be abused by people who are willing to cross a line they should not cross.
They're both true, and that's why we need to work together to make sure Americans have trust again in these surveillance measures that we utilize to protect our country.
Thank you.
Senator Klobuchar.
There we go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, I think you know that I have great respect for the men and women of the FBI, their mission, fidelity, bravery, integrity. I believe they deserve a director who respects their work and sacrifices, and they deserve a director who's focused on their mission. This is not about bingo cards or games. This is not about revenge. This is about the safety of our country and the people
you think you about that? You think it's a game?
in the FBI. And the FBI runs on facts. It runs on truth. Truth matters. And without truth, the whole system breaks down. You said that Donald Trump has every right to tell the world that in 2020, 2016, and every other election in between was rigged by our government because they were. Yes or no, did you say that?
I don't have that statement in front of me. But
okay, that was from August 27th, 2023 Thrive Time show. I'll put it on the record. These claims made in that statement were rejected by courts, including by Republican judges. Is that correct?
I don't have enough of the facts in front of me to make that assessment.
I will put that statement on the record, but I think everyone in this.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, he's gonna do a whole lot of not remembering what he said now.
Wow. Cash app.
I don't recall that.
Wait,
I don't have the statement in front of me.
Hold on, where's my... damn, dude, can I reach it? Can I reach it? No. Damn it. I gotta go around. Stupid. Yes.
You'd have to put the statement in front of me. I don't know what I said. Ooh.
Look.
Fucking.
It's him. He's back.
Yeah, you should have just worn a fucking bow tie. Then we would have all known.
Melvin.
This guy's a fucking clown.
Cash app Melvin.
This committee, including the Republican members, knows that these statements were rejected by courts. You were asked about the police officers in the Capitol who testified in the January 6 hearings, and
real quick, before anybody says I'm doing some racist shit, because I just realized how to sound it, calling them Cash App. Remember, these were the same assholes who couldn't say Kamala Harris without insulting her. So fuck these dudes, all right? So chill. Before y'all come at me, remember, these assholes couldn't get one person's name right. It was written on every single document that they were fucking studying for the last 2 years. They knew what her name was. They were doing it to be a dickhead. So
yeah, and they couldn't say Kamala.
It was too difficult. Too difficult. They kept calling her everything else under the sun. So Cash App. And also, I don't like it when people whitewash their names so they can get into like white circles. Nimrata, Raphael, Cash App.
You accuse them of lying. Is that correct or not correct?
I don't think that's accurate.
Okay, Joe Packed podcast, March 2024. We'll put it on the record. I was there. The police officers were heroes that day.
Yes.
Did you post on your personal social media account in May of 2024, January 6th, never an insurrection, cowards in uniforms exposed. They broke the chain of command.
I believe you're referencing a post that was shown in part earlier. I don't have it in front of me.
You posted it, and it was on your account.
You did it, bro. You're the one that said it on the internet.
Now, see, this would be a good time for them to have their intern with a poster board with the screenshot. But they didn't think of that ahead of time. Air horn one time in the chat for us.
And we will again put that out there once more as we go on. I don't want to.
I would have been like, Mr. Cash App, do I look like a liar to you? Are you saying that I'm lying about these posts?
Yeah, I would have had some fucking little pictures of things like, did you say this? Because it says you said this.
It would have been my
I'm pretty
shirt.
sure you said this.
I would have had a shirt on, and then I would have pulled that shirt
Stood
off.
up, take that shirt off.
And then I had another post on. I was like, did you say this?
Did you say this?
Pull that one off, have another shirt on.
It says your tweet said this.
Oh, what if I did it Hulkamania style and I just kind of cut a V and it's lies? What about this one? That'd be very dramatic.
That'd be hilarious.
This is what we need in Congress, baby. But instead, we got Linda McMahon who's going to starve all the kids. Damn it. This is not what we... This is the darkest timeline. This is the darkest timeline.
I don't lose any more time on this, but every one of these, there's a record of it, and you haven't answered. You promoted a COVID vaccine reversal or detox supplement. One scientist said, I quote,
"What?
None of these substances in any form would minimize side effects from a COVID-19 vaccine. That is preying on innocent people." Did you perform clinical trials before you made that claim?
I'm not a doctor, so no.
But you did promote this supplement and told people that it would reverse or mitigate the side effects from COVID vaccine.
Did I give people an opportunity to make an independent choice for what's best for their families? Yes.
You did that last year, correct?
I don't have it in front of me again,
Oh,
Senator.
man. I would have been like, but you
Mr.
just said
Patel,
you're
the
not a
FBI
doctor. But you just said you said on the record you're not a doctor and you're promoting pills.
Look, Tim, do you want your eyeballs to blow up in 7 years? I bet you don't. If you buy my pills and get on the regimen, your eyeballs can be saved, Tim. Because who knows? It might be tomorrow. It might be 100 years from now. But your eyeballs, they explode because of COVID? Question mark? I don't know. But buy the pills.
FBI tackles some of the most complex threats that we face: terrorists, hostile foreign powers, violent gangs, fentanyl, criminal organizations.
Fentanyl.
Your mission, though.
Hey, remember when New Zealand gave fentanyl to those people in candy?
Oh, my God.
And then they were like, nah, it's all the people in the U.S. giving drugs to trick-or-treaters. It's like, I'm not giving my edibles to trick-or-treat. You know how expensive this shit is? That is a treat for me. And giving it to these little rat bastards.
No, has been to go after
crumb snatchers.
People. I've looked at it. I've read this stuff. Yes or no? When Trump wins, did you say this? When Trump wins in 2024 and is in power in 2025, we can prosecute them, referring to Justice Department officials for an actual RICO statute violation for criminally organizing the United States government to break the law to rig presidential elections. Did you say that, yes or no?
Again, Senator, you're reading a partial statement, so I'm unable to fully respond.
Okay, again, we'll put it on the record. X22.
Dude, I would be like, that's
podcast
bullshit, bro.
20,
you know what you said.
That is from, I'll get you the date, about a year ago.
Again,
One of the names.
I would stop him, like, am I lying? Are you calling me a liar?
Names on your list was Bill Barr. You Chairman Grassley has called him one of the most capable cabinet officials I've ever been able to vote for. Senator Graham has said, I have nothing but total respect and admiration for the job done by William Barr as Attorney General of the United States. Is Bill Barr on your list of whatever you want to call them, been referred to as an enemies list? You've called them deep state after serving his country as the Attorney General of the United States.
And he's
Is he on your list because of a
Yeah,
personal
right.
vendetta?
Well, it's not whatever we want to call it, Senator. With all due respect, it's not an enemies list. That is a total mischaracterization.
I asked you,
And-
I actually used the words you used for the list, which was deep state, right? That's what you put at the
It is a
top.
glossary
Against
in
the
the
Attorney
back.
General of the United States. Is it because of a personal vendetta that he's on the list? You're under oath.
I have no personal vendetta against Bill
Okay,
Barr.
he said about you, you would never be able to command the respect necessary to run the day-to-day operations of the Bureau. That was accurate.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I am going to run the FBI.
You're not going to get anybody's respect with that voice.
Actually, in writing in his book, he had virtually, about you, no experience that would qualify you to serve at the highest level of the world's preeminent law enforcement agency, and that your appointment, as noted by Senator Durbin as Deputy Director to the FBI, would happen over his dead body. Is it, yes or no, why you would put him on the list of deep state as a former Attorney General, Trump Attorney General of the United States, because he wouldn't break the law for Donald Trump? Is that why?
Absolutely not.
As you know, he repeatedly told the president in no uncertain terms that he did not see evidence of fraud that would have affected the outcome of the election. Did you say in February of 2021 that the election stuff was never my job and I stayed out of that stuff?
Again, I don't know what comment you're referring to, but I'm sure you're reading a piece of something.
You said it on Pushback on a
fucking
podcast.
Asshole.
Is it-
Like, why is he there?
If you're not gonna fucking answer questions, dude, then just, I don't know, plead the fifth or something.
And actually, the Democrats should have printed all this shit out and handed him one.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna do the
I don't
the
have that statement in front of me.
Yeah, it's physically not in front of my eyes right now, so I have no idea if I've ever said that before. Like,
Yeah,
that is some lawyery bullshit, and they should have fucking printed that shit out.
Yeah, it would have been like page 3, paragraph 4. You
Exactly.
said this.
Yeah, that's how you cross-examine. He's squirming all over the place right now.
Is it true, though, that in December of 2020, you reached out to the Trump acting Deputy Attorney General and asked him to investigate a conspiracy theory claiming that people in Italy had used military technology and satellites to remotely tamper with voting machines in the U.S. and switch votes
Oh my
for
God, dude.
Trump
Italy?
Wow.
from Biden
Why
to-
Italy?
from Trump to Biden? Is that true?
What was the date?
That was out.
Boy, don't you ask for no fucking clarifying questions knowing
Yeah.
goddamn well you're not finna answer. God.
Of December of 2020.
I was chief of staff to the Department of Defense, so I don't believe that's accurate in any way.
That came out of testimony before Congress. I will give it to you. Have you referred to the media as the most powerful enemy of the United States that they have ever seen? Is that right?
Again, you're reading a quote. I take that
Page
you're
to
reading it accurately.
CPAC 22324. You said we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens who helped Joe Biden rig the elections. We're going to come after you whether it's criminally or civilly. Is that something you said?
That's a partial statement of what I said.
Steve Bannon's podcast. You also said you would
Steve
put the
Bannon's
entire fake news
podcast.
mafia press corps on your list. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
I don't have that in front of me.
Benny Johnson's podcast 82123.
Benny
You
Johnson,
have
that dude is
said
literally a
that the
Nazi.
FBI, including today, you said that they remain utterly corrupt. This is an agency with agents who have taken down terrorists, taken down bank robbers, taken down crime. And you wrote that the FBI
Human
has become so
traffickers.
thoroughly compromised
Yeah.
that it will remain a threat to the people unless drastic measures are taken. Do you know that under Chris Wray's leadership, he took over at a very difficult time, we all know that, appointed by President Trump, that during his tenure, the applications to the FBI has in fact tripled? Do you think people would be applying to that agency like in those numbers if they thought it was so corrupt?
The American public's trust in it is at 40%. That's an all-time low.
Did you say that the
wonder
FBI
who had anything to
headquarters
do with
should be
that.
shut down and reopen as a museum of the deep state?
Mr. Chairman, are we allowed to go an extra time?
Let's see,
He does not want to take any more questions.
Before I call on Senator Lee.
Could he just answer the question if he said that the FBI headquarters, where they investigate cybercrime and terrorism, should
Chair.
be shut down and opened as a deep state?
Hey, Mr. Chair.
As a museum. Did he say that the headquarters should be shut down?
Mr. Chair.
I deserve an answer to that question.
I
He
guess
is
it's-
asking to be head of the FBI, and he said that their headquarters should be shut down.
Mr. Chair, parliamentary inquiry.
You got anything you want to say, Mr. Patel, before I go on to Senator Lee?
Simply this.
Oh, here we
If
go.
the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations, the only thing this body is doing is defeating the credibility of the men and women at the FBI.
Oh my God, he's a brown Nazi.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Look at him. Didn't
he's
answer
also-
a single fucking question. He's like, well, if you guys are just gonna not make me happy and glaze me, then I'm gonna come after you next. Dude, fuck you.
Also, the FBI's favorables are 50%, so he's wrong.
He lied under oath. Get him out of here. Next.
I stood with them here in this country. In every theater of war we have, I was on the ground in service of this nation. And any accusations leveled against me that I would somehow put political bias before the Constitution are grotesquely unfair. And I will have you reminded that I have been endorsed by over 300,000 law enforcement officers to become the next director of the FBI. Let's ask them.
Mr. Chairman, I am quoting his own words from
He still didn't answer.
September of 2024. It is his own words. It is not some conspiracy. It is what Mr. Patel actually said himself. Facts matter.
You forget that you had 3 minutes in the next round to say what you just said.
Okay, I'll say him again.
Okay. Before I call Lee.
Mr. Chair, just parliamentary inquiry, and it was on time. It wasn't disputing any of the debate, but I intend to keep to my 7 minutes, and I appreciate you keeping everyone to it. If we go over, can we have that decrement against the time in the second round? If a member goes over, that was actually 10 minutes.
Can you stop crying, Tillis? Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
You're crying for 3 minutes. Well, who gets that time back?
Can we have their time deducted in the second round, please?
And also, I have my Blue Lives Matter cult flag on my lapel. So
Mr. Chair.
I'm not sure that I want to. Sometimes it's faster to get things done here, just letting people shout and than it does.
Boy, you talk at one word a minute. That's your motherfucking time fucking funnel choke point right there. Your pinch point is his ass. You ask him a question every 36 seconds, he'd be, stop talking to him.
Shut him up.
Mr. Chairman. You're a wise man, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Before we go to Lee.
Mr. Chairman.
Old man.
Yes, what do you want?
There you go.
I love this guy. Mr. Chairman, I'm unlike Senator Tillis. I mean, if we're going to start this,
Mrs. Blackburn, that's weird.
I want an extra 3 minutes.
Well,
Now, my friend Senator Klobuchar went 3 minutes over.
So, here what you're saying is the chairman wasn't a very good chairman by not shutting her up. But I've gone through this.
Shutting her up? Better watch your mouth.
Yeah, you better watch. That's Amy
and,
Klobuchar.
I think I know how to
He'll
handle
fuck
it.
you up.
Well, I think you're a star-spangled awesome chairman. I just want to say that for the record. But if you're going to let somebody over there go 3 minutes,
there is an entire population of frogs living in these men's throats. Jesus Christ. Cough and clear your airway before you start speaking. Jesus.
over, I want my extra 3 minutes.
Well, let's see if it's abused by anybody else before we make that decision.
I'm just telling you, I'm going to abuse it.
Well, I'm not going to let you abuse it.
You're a good man, Mr. Chairman.
Before I go to Lee, I want to put a record statement in the record from 56 former FBI agents.
Look at them trying to act like this shit is normal. You know what I'm saying? Look at all this nervous, this nervous energy of them trying to act like, oh, this is just a normal hearing. We don't have to be worried about this at all. It's fine, y'all. We're good. You are not good, and you know you're not good.
Vote to this committee to support this nominee Quote, never has the FBI faced such an urgent and compelling need for comprehensive reform as it does today. Mr. Patel has proven he possesses the breadth of experience required to address these challenges. His leadership, expertise, and vision make him uniquely qualified.
What is he reading?
To guide the FBI through
He's reading a
this
statement from an FBI, a former FBI
moment.
agent.
For these
Who
reasons,
cares?
we stand in full support of Kash Patel's nomination. Any objection? So ordered. Mr. Lee.
Mr. Patel, while we're talking about your awards, let's talk about the cowards in uniform comment for a moment, can we?
Please.
Would you like to tell us what that was? Put it in context, help the committee understand what that was about.
Silent
I think it's
prayer
important.
and
Thank you,
reflection.
Senator. During that time on January 6th, I was serving as Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense. And days prior, we had received the authorization from the President to issue the National Guard to protect you and your colleagues. But as you know, the law requires a request before the deployment of that guard. That request did not come in until the afternoon of January 6th. Once that request came in, this, unfortunately, as has been confirmed by his own testimony, I believe, the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, failed to immediately deploy the National Guard and instead took a break to speak to media and make personal phone calls. That endangered the safety of you and your colleagues.
What?
Never mind the fact that the mob was sent by a person
Oh my God.
in government.
And if you look at the Biden Inspector General report, we at the Department of Defense authorized the fastest cold start of the National Guard since World War II and the largest occupation since the American Civil War. And the Biden Justice Department said that we, including myself as Chief of Staff, when it came to the deployment and employment of the National Guard, acted swiftly and without undue delay.
So that's what you were talking about. And that's why you had the reference to the UCMJ. Tell us what that means.
The Uniform Code of Military Justice is for uniformed officers who betray the code of justice and also act inappropriately. And I thought any delay to have the National Guard arrive on scene here must be called out, whether it was a fellow Republican or not, especially someone under my auspices running the Department of Defense.
Okay, so moments ago when Senator Durbin displayed a chart with that quote, there was a reference in part of it to the UCMJ. That's what it was referring to.
Yes, sir.
Those were the cowards in uniform. Those people who didn't do what they were supposed to do, and a lot of people were put in danger as a result.
That's correct, Senator.
Okay, thank you. That's very good to know. I do find it significant that we've heard all kinds of aspersions cast in your
Mikey,
direction.
I got something for you in the
by
chat.
people.
Okay.
A short, if you will, of things that Kash Patel has said about the FBI that he doesn't remember saying.
Well, speaking of his intentions for the FBI, Kash Patel told us what he wants to do on day one. Let's listen.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building.
I don't have it in front of me. I don't have it in front of me.
He doesn't remember saying any of that.
Look at him leaning back with the eagle claw for emphasis. Boy, you something else.
On day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops.
We're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice.
This job requires...
I don't know if you can... Isn't that exactly what Amy Klobuchar said to him?
Yes. Well, I don't recall.
I don't recall. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have her questions printed out on a sandwich board, so I don't know.
Senate confirmation, Daniel, any indications that he'll have trouble getting it?
Yeah, there is some reminders of the Matt Gaetz nomination, which got scuttled.
Oh, are those the only two?
Yeah.
That's sad. I thought there was more, but...
People who do not
get
know
the gist.
By people who do not share your worldview, by people who do not share your commitment to the Constitution or your commitment to public service. I find.
Wait till he figures out that he's gonna get fired in a week, even if he gets in, because they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, he's Indian." No, dog, I'm not listening to him. Trump, get him out of here. Sorry, got to get you out of here. You're Indian.
Or the FBI does something that Trump doesn't like, and he's like, "Well, that guy's fired."
Yeah.
Get him the fuck out of here.
I'm glad that he's fighting really hard to not answer questions so that he can get confirmed, so he can get immediately fired. So
I find it astounding that they're willing to say this.
You're still a whipping boy.
Amidst such great ignorance, and I find it equally heartening that the 56 former FBI officials who know you best, who have worked with you, who actually know who you are, who actually share your view of the Constitution, of the view that you ought to be a law enforcement agency and not a weapon of political warfare. These are the people who stand by you. Those who cast aspersions don't share those views. Would I be correct in surmising that?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the Fourth Amendment for a moment. The Fourth Amendment tells us that in order for the government to breach your expectation of privacy relative to your person, your home, your papers, if they want to search that, if they want to seize you, they've got to get a warrant. And that warrant has to describe with particularity the persons or places to be searched or to be seized, and to connect them up with a showing of probable cause. Now, in the case of FISA 702, we're dealing with a somewhat different universe. Now, moments ago, we heard some discussion about FISA 702, about suddenly we've got a different FISA 702 than what we had when President Trump was last in office. Is that true? Because by my count, FISA 702 has not changed substantively.
I'm trying to put a little box right behind the thing so it'll look 3D.
Yeah.
And I'm having a lot of trouble.
Since President Trump was in office last.
That's correct.
Okay. And there was also some back and forth discussion about FISA 702 and the use of it, and the fact that in real time, it might not work to get a warrant. This, in my view, misses the point. The concern that the American people have with FISA 702 is not about the real-time collection of communications regarding foreign targets. The concern is that once those communications are stored, you have within them what are referred to as incidentally collected communications of Americans. Text messages, emails, recorded phone calls, and so forth. If they want to go in and search for someone, let's say you, if someone wants to go into one of those databases after they've been collected, let's see if you're unwittingly communicating with somebody who, unbeknownst to you, happens to be an agent.
What a very strange example. Hey, Tim, do you talk to federal agents on accident all the time?
I don't come into contact with any federal agents, so...
No, when I'm on Discord, I need to be sure that these guys are not actually cops. You know what I mean?
You know, if you ask them if they're cops, they have to say yes if they are.
Foreign power.
Yes, it's entrapment.
Communicating with somebody who, unbeknownst to you, happens to be an agent of a foreign power or otherwise under surveillance under FISA 702. If they wanted to search for you, they wanted to enter your name, your phone number, your email address, or some other personal electronic identifier, would they have to get a warrant to do that under current law?
Under current law, I believe so, Senator.
Under current law, they routinely access that without getting a warrant. In order to access it, they've got their own internal procedures. They're not supposed to use this for light or transient reasons. They're supposed to have a perfectly good reason, and yet we found that on hundreds of thousands of occasions, they have accessed the private communications of Americans, searching for those individual Americans.
What, the government
by name,
is
by number,
surveilling
by email
people?
address, whatever.
My pearls, they are clutched.
Has he not heard of Facebook? You can literally like, ask people, hey, I used to go to Johnson's first grade elementary school. That was my favorite school. What was your favorite school? And then people will just give away their security questions because you asked them and you put a picture of a cat up there.
Yeah, like, come on, bro.
Like they all have TikTok.
If you don't think that the government is just like randomly surveilling you, then I don't know what to tell you.
They're randomly surveilling you. Like, yeah, we already knew that. Did you not know that?
Do you want them to stop for some reason?
A warrant or anything tantamount to it. On occasion, they've even been used for overtly nefarious reasons. One agent deciding to look in on his father because he suspected his father might be having an extramarital affair. On another occasion, an agent looked at people who were thinking about renting an apartment from him to make sure they were upstanding citizens and could be trusted. Are these appropriate uses of FISA 702?
Hell yeah.
As you alluded to, the FISA court, it's not me deciding it. The FISA court put out a report in 22 or 23 where 255,000 illegal and improper queries of American citizens had occurred. 255,000 reasons why the American people don't trust it. And that's what we must work together, Congress and me, if I'm confirmed as FBI director, restore that trust and protect the mission.
Music to my ears, because I've been a U.S. Senator for 14 years. I've been on this committee the entire time. You were the very first FBI director or FBI director nominee who, when I've asked about this, hasn't said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll handle it okay. We've got good people on the inside. We would never breach the trust of the American people. Do you know what? They were lying. I was willing to believe that they thought they were telling the truth, but they were mistaken. But they were lying. Time has told us that they were lying. You will not lie, and that's why I wholeheartedly support you.
Wait, what?
In the closing seconds that I...
That logic is just unimpeachable.
He literally just lied for 10 minutes.
He's saying that everyone that I've ever been to a Senate confirmation hearing for FBI director has lied to my face. But you, sir, would never lie to me.
You're honest as old Abe.
That logic is just wow. Not even like I'm suspicious of you because everyone else has lied to me before. Not even like I don't fully trust you. He's like, I would trust you with puppies all the time. I don't think you would ever harm a puppy. Here's some puppies.
He would 100% harm a puppy. I would never trust this guy with a puppy.
Here is my child with some candy. I don't think you would ever take that candy.
No. I'm not, like, Kira can't talk to that guy. No, don't talk to him.
I want to add my dismay and my disgust for the fact that you've been smeared, you've been attacked, you've been
He said it.
He said those things. We just showed it on the show. He said those things.
Mr. Lee, watch back the tape of this show. We just played it on screen.
associated with racism, with being a Nazi. You are none of those things, sir.
a Nazi.
Just as your father
Hey, you know what you call people who defend Nazis?
lived as a racial minority in Uganda. You've been raised as a racial minority in this country, and you've been nothing but a patriot. Your commitment to the Constitution, to the rule of law, and to the American people is remarkable. And I'm honored to know you, to call you my friend, and to give you my vote. Thank you.
Thank you,
Senator Coons.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley. Mr. Patel, to you and your family, congratulations on your nomination.
His name is disrespectful.
And we had a constructive conversation last week.
Record.
I appreciate your taking the time. In particular, a conversation about the prosecution of the World Cup bombing in Uganda that took the life of a Delawarean whose family I knew.
Delawarean?
I found moving.
Is that a religion?
But the role you've been nominated for is central to our security as a nation, central to the protection of our constitutional rights. And I voted to confirm Trump's previous FBI director, Chris Wray. I believe he's lived up to the Bureau's motto of serving with fidelity, bravery, and integrity. And I also think my vote for him and for many of Trump's cabinet in his first term shows I take my constitutional advice and consent role seriously and do not reflexively vote against his nominees. I look at three factors when I assess a nominee: qualifications and experience,
and booty,
policy views and whether they're in the best interest of the American people, and character and capacity to do the job independently where called for. My colleagues have referenced quotes from Attorney General Barr, National Security Advisor Bolton. The FBI is enormous, 38,000 agents, $9 billion budget. I am troubled by your lack of senior law enforcement leadership.
Man, so all the federal agents went to the Capitol to do January 6th. It was all of them. Yeah,
it was all of them.
We disagree on some important policy views, but the thing that bothers me the most is a whole series of statements you've made in a variety of settings that suggest you would struggle to be independent from White House direction or control, as has long been the modern history of the FBI. Who does the director of the FBI work for, Mr. Patel?
Senator, thank you for that question. The immediate report for the director of the FBI is into the Office of the Deputy Attorney General. Then that report is taken into the Office of the Attorney General and ultimately the White House and the chain of command there.
So the FBI works for the White House?
No, the FBI is a member of the Department of Justice and has been the long-standing application.
And who does the Department of Justice work for?
They're in the executive branch, as all members do at the White House.
Attorney General Bondi gave a different answer when I asked her the same question, that they work for the Constitution and the American people. President Trump's made clear in public statements he wants.
Got him.
He thought he was gonna outsmart this stupid.
I know.
This
He
stupid
was like,
man.
He was like, I know the answer to that. It's so simple.
This is why he don't remember nothing.
I work for the president. I mean, technically, that's not true. The Justice Department is supposed to like be independent of the direct report of the president. Like, yeah, you give the president reports and information, but like at the same time, you could be investigating them. So,
well, that was because Biden's DOJ and Biden's FBI and Biden didn't. They don't talk to him. And dude, think about it. Think about how crazy it is. Now that we see how addled Joe Biden is, think of how crazy it is to assume that all these government agencies were colluding with his crusty brain not working ass. Like, come on, dog. Y'all can't be serious at this point. You cannot be.
Even when these guys try to pretend to be like fucking real or whatever, they trip up on the fact that they don't understand that they're not supposed to work directly for the president.
What?
Like, yeah, you're under the executive branch, but your job is to do your job. It's not to do whatever the president tells you. You're the director of the FBI. You may open an inquiry into some part of his administration.
So maybe not being friends is a good thing.
Yeah, maybe not kissing his ass is a good thing.
Slurping his derp.
Wants to use the FBI to persecute political adversaries. He's publicly said that folks ranging from Liz Cheney to Adam Kinzinger.
This guy in the back here, his shirt is way too big. Look at how it's hanging.
Yeah, that shirt
and then he did a double Windsor knot. Like, come on, brother.
To former Vice President Harris should be investigated and criminally prosecuted. If President Trump were to order you to open an investigation into any of these individuals, let's say Vice President Harris, would you?
Senator, this question speaks directly to my ability to leave political bias and allow independent behavior to be the only guiding light. As a public defender, I learned that in the harshest of arenas. And any law enforcement investigation, if I'm confirmed at the FBI, will only be launched on the following qualification: a factual, articulable, legal basis to do so. The president has said publicly that he will allow the FBI to remain independent, and I have said as much as well.
So if FBI agents brought to you a factual, legal basis, predication, and you are about to refer it to a prosecutor, and you get a call from the White House saying, don't proceed. This is a major donor. This is someone close to the president. This is inappropriate. What would you do?
Simple. I think you answered it partially in your question.
Say
the line agents, the BRIC agents who are trained to bring investigations on behalf of the FBI will make that decision-making process, and they will only have my full support so long as it upholds absolutely every value of the Constitution, and that's it.
So your predecessor, I went back and looked, and I asked the same questions of Director Comey and Director Wray. Director Wray, quoting former Attorney General Bell, said, "You should be willing to resign, if necessary, over conduct if you're pressed to engage in it that's unethical, illegal, or unconstitutional. If pressed by the president, would you resign?"
I don't have the definition of ethical in front of me right now, so I don't remember.
What is resign? You're gonna have to define that for me.
You're gonna get fired anyway, but
Senator, my answer is simply I would never do anything unconstitutional or unlawful, and I never have in my 16 years of government service.
Would you be willing to resign the post of FBI director if pressed and given no choice but to obey the order or resign?
Senator, I will always obey the law.
Does obeying the law require you to, as Attorney General Bell said, as FBI Director Wray said, refuse the order or resign?
I'm not familiar with the extent of the law that you're referring to,
Yeah,
but my answer is simple in my 16 years of government service. We will simply follow the law. And I've done that in Obama Justice Department, in Republican Justice Departments, in the Obama military, in Republican civilian capacity. I have never once wavered from my constitutional oath of office.
You also haven't answered a single goddamn question.
Yeah, right?
For a defense attorney, you're not very, butchered. Like, defense attorneys are like butcher knives. They are very good at a very few amount of things. He's good at nothing. He's not no precision knife. He's no fillet knife. He's not a paring knife. He's just like a spoon. I don't want him defending me. You know what I mean? Like if it's me, like if I get accused of some shit that I didn't do and I can't afford a lawyer and this guy shows up, I'm fucked.
I would be like, nah, bro, can I get different counsel? I can't do this guy.
Now we're going to roll that D20 one more again. Mulligan.
Predecessors in this role have been clear that they would be willing to resign if forced or directed to do something unethical or illegal. I'll proceed. One of your past statements that's concerned me, it's both a post on Truth Social and something you said in a podcast, the Sean Morgan report, that your predecessor, Chris Wray, has broken the law. We need to prosecute him. The FBI should go after people like him. And the month before this, in July 2023, you said there should be a criminal referral for FBI Director Wray. If confirmed, are you going to follow through on these previous statements that Director Wray needs to be prosecuted?
Senator, this reminds me of the conversation you and I had, which I greatly appreciated. There is enough violent crime in this country and enough national security threats to this country that the FBI is going to be busy going forward preventing 100,000 overdoses, 100,000 rapes, and 17,000 homicides.
Man, he better be actually doing that shit. He better be actually doing that shit.
Well, it'll all get fixed because all of the people are gone.
Yeah. They're going to deport, 20 million people?
Well, and everybody else is just not going to go outside and not going to do anything. For people who screamed about their personal freedoms, to have the Gestapo running through the streets and wondering why everybody's not skipping around dancing. Because let me tell you something. I'm not going out for any major events anymore. It's crazy times. So no. And the only people that are going to be accused of crimes are going to be his little buddies and the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys.
Mm-hmm. Violent crime should be the principal focus of the FBI. What I'm trying to get to, Mr. Patel, is a whole series of very troubling, to me and many other statements you've made about
stop touching your microphone.
Using it to pursue those who might be viewed as
fucking their microphone.
And as I told you in your office, I have no interest, no desire, and will not, if confirmed, go backwards. There will be no politicization at the FBI. There will be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as the FBI director. I told you that in your office, and I'll tell you that again today.
Thank you for that statement. As the co-chair of the Law Enforcement Caucus with Senator Cornyn, one of the things I've worked hard on,
they got a caucus
and I hope
for
to
everything.
continue being able to work hard on with this administration, is partnership between federal, state, and local law enforcement
caucus.
to pursue violent crime. You did say, as my colleague asked, and I look for a longer answer, that you want to close the FBI Bureau's headquarters on day one. How would shutting down the FBI headquarters impact its ability to prosecute violent crime and drug traffickers? How is that possibly a serious proposal, Mr.
Thank
Patel?
you for bringing that up and allowing me to answer. It was to highlight the significantly greater point that I was actually making in that interview, which is well documented over and over again. 38,000 FBI employees, 7,500 FBI employees work in the Washington field office and Hoover building alone. If you increase that aperture just slightly to encompass the National Capital Region, that is 11,000 FBI employees work in the National Capital Region. A third of the workforce for the FBI works in Washington, D.C. I am fully committed to having that workforce go out into the interior of the country, where I live, west of the Mississippi, and work with sheriff's departments and local officers, and having one...
Does he not know what the internet is?
Does he not know what, jobs are? There's so many layers of law enforcement. Why does the FBI need to be everywhere all the time?
Where do you want them to go? Just nestle and put one FBI agent inside every police department? The police department does not want the fucking feds sniffing around their fucking police department.
Have you ever seen a cop
kidding?
show?
Yeah, they do
They're
not
always
like each
like,
other.
"Ah, God damn it, the feds are here.
Yeah, what the fuck? They don't like each other, brother.
Get out of my jurisdiction."
Yeah. Fucking, here come the feds flexing their muscles, pushing their weight around.
Also, maybe there's so many fucking federal, so many FBI agents in DC because there's a lot of fucking crimes that happen there.
Yeah, have you ever, has it ever occurred to you that they are where the crime is?
And like they gotta have an office somewhere where they can actually do the paperwork. Like he's acting like there's not like paperwork and computer work that needs to be done, like actual investigation. He's like, it's all out in the field over there. Just go interview people. That's all you need to do.
I mean, it's almost like they could like travel.
Right.
You know, and like a magic flying device.
Or perhaps some sort of horseless carriage.
Homicide and having one agent in Washington prevent one rape. And I will do that over and over and over again because the American people deserve the resources, not in Washington, D.C., but in the rest of the country.
And
So the FBI can't call the police in that area.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, police, the guy's over there. Go get him.
Yeah, we found the guy. He lives at this address. Go get him.
The warrants are being sent over as we speak. Move, move, move. That's, I mean, seems easy to me. Just call them.
Patel, frankly, if that had been your statement, that would be something that would be defensible. It's the rest of it, saying you're going to turn it into a museum of the deep state, that causes repeated questions and concerns from people like myself. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Before I call on Senator Hawley, I'd like to enter letters into
God,
the record
not Josh Hawley.
from scores of state
We gotta do
attorneys
it, Tim.
general.
All right,
US
Holly,
attorneys,
and then we got to go watch
former
Gap
US
Gap for the last
Department
half
of
hour.
Justice officials who support the nominee. They state, quote, Mr. Patel will bring to this critically important
Oh my
office
boy, shut
his
up.
unique and
God damn, son.
Ass kisser to ass
Oh
kisser.
my God.
They're going to do this butt to mouth.
Senator Hawley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, welcome. It's great to see you again. I enjoyed our conversation.
Pause it. Is he going to... All right. I think Josh Hawley is going to talk about the Christians who the FBI has been investigating for being persecuted for being Christians.
You're right.
Those good Christian folk.
He's right. You're right.
In my office a while back. Let me ask you this. Is it appropriate?
Can you guys not hear Tim?
I can hear Tim.
He's moving on the soundboard.
Appropriate for the Federal
on the mixer.
Bureau of
I'm
Investigation
moving on my thing too.
to attempt to recruit spies or informants into religious institutions in this country, particularly Catholic parishes. Is that
Oh my
appropriate?
God.
Hold on, you get a full horn trumpet here. Hold on. It's loud on purpose. Tim called it.
Patel, are you familiar with the recent actions of the FBI in this regard, including this memo that I have right here, making a list of Catholic churches and parishes that they regard as potentially suspect and directing the potential recruitment of informants and other spies, let's be honest, into those parishes?
I'm familiar with that memo, Senator.
Mr. Patel, would you commit to me that you will, if you are confirmed, that you will finally and officially withdraw this memo and make it clear that this is not only unacceptable, but that it is an absolute violation of the First Amendment that every American enjoys under the Constitution of the United States?
But do
If
you
I'm
also
confirmed,
agree?
Senator, yes.
But do you also agree that we should be able to send ICE agents into churches, but we shouldn't send federal agents in to catch pedophiles into churches?
And if you're not going to send feds in to get the Christians or whatever, then you can't be sending feds into Muslim communities. You can't be sending feds into Jewish communities.
Nope.
You can't be sending feds into like Hindu communities. Like, come on, guys.
Black churches.
You can't just be like, oh, well, Christians, they're better than everyone else. We got to exclude them. Like the Christians don't commit crimes. Everyone commits crimes.
Check the jails, Tim. Full of Christians.
It's got nothing to do with your religion.
You know what the jails and the prisons are not full of? Atheists.
That's true.
Because atheists commit less crime. Because
that's a fact.
Because we actually have morals based on mutual benefit and mutual harm.
Nah, I think they should be sending feds to the atheist communes that are going on.
All those atheists feeding homeless people.
Will you also commit to me that you will conduct an investigation and find out who wrote this memo, who spread this memo, the field offices involved in this memo? Because I can tell you, we've had your predecessor sit right where you're sitting, and he has repeatedly lied to, there's no other word for it, lied to this committee.
I want to see Josh Hawley's entire chest. I feel like there's a Pete Hegseth hiding underneath there. He is talking real loud. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's got some ink somewhere.
He's got one of them cross tattoos.
Yeah, or like a dragon or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's got something.
The spread eagle one, like the eagle with the wings and
with the head to the side.
Some sort of like swastika shaped thing somewhere.
Maybe something for luck.
He told us initially that it didn't happen, that the FBI didn't make any lists of churches. That's not true. We have it. A whistleblower brought forward the list for us. He said then that only one field office had worked on it. Turns out we know from another whistleblower, multiple field office worked on it. He said that it was never...
Billy says he looks like Pee Wee Herman.
posted on the internal system. It turns out it was. We believe it's still in effect. Will you find out who was involved in this gross abuse of Americans' First Amendment rights? And will you discipline them? And if you possibly can, will you fire them, Mr. Patel, consistent with department policy and law?
Senator, you have my commitment to investigate any matters such as this one that are important to Congress. I will fully utilize, if confirmed, the investigative powers of the FBI to give you the information you require and also to hold those accountable who violated the sacred trust placed in them at the FBI.
I'm glad to hear
he's like a Play-Doh mold of a person.
You say that, and I'm glad you used the word sacred trust, because that's exactly what it is. The FBI is the most powerful law enforcement body in this nation. Arguably the most powerful law enforcement body, at least in a free nation in the world. And to have this body corrupted politically such that it is targeting people of faith in this country and then lying about it to this committee in the American people.
Committed crimes. The people that he's talking about are criminals. They committed crimes.
That's why they kept, like, they were hiding in a church. It was the church was a front. Do you know how many of these? I'm not gonna say. I almost said which one it was. I'll tell you off air tell. But there is a certain denomination of church that anybody who knows anything knows is a front for white supremacists.
Yeah.
It is a straight up white supremacist meeting hall. It's a specific branch of Christianity. And those churches are around. You can find them all over. And then if you look around, you say, looks pretty normal in here. Look for all of the people of color. You won't find a single one of them.
But once again, Jewish people don't get sacred trust.
Yep.
Muslim people don't get sacred trust. Hindus, black people don't get sacred trust. Hindus.
Yep.
Everyone else, no sacred trust. Christians, sacred trust.
People is unimaginable. I'll be honest with you. I never thought this would happen in the United States of America.
See what religion
I just didn't.
is. I bet
if you had told me 5 years ago we'd be reading memos like this, I would have said, no way, that's bad fiction. In fact, it's a horrible reality. The department needs to be cleaned up, the agency does, and rights restored and protected. I'm glad to hear you say that. Let me ask you this. Do you think it is appropriate for the FBI to be sending agents, including counterterrorism agents, to the parents of children who went to school board meetings and asked about critical race theory in their schools, asked about the school's masking policy during COVID? Should those parents be treated as domestic terrorists?
Parents who have the courage to ensure their children are taught what they feel is right, and those who have the courage of their
should
convictions
take their children out of public
worship,
school.
in my book, will never be domestic terrorists.
I'm delighted to hear you say that. You're familiar, I am sure, with this memorandum issued by the Attorney General, the last Attorney General, Merrick Garland, directing the FBI.
This from the Kansas City Star. Quote, I'm sure some will say now that I'm calling America a Christian nation. So I am. Howley, a Missouri Republican, said, quote continues, "Some will say that I'm advocating Christian nationalism. So I do. My question is there any other kind worth having?"
Is there any other kind of nationalism worth having?
There you go.
And other law enforcement.
We've covered this a whole bunch, but man, critical race theory is not taught in K through 12. It's just not. It's
not a class.
It's a college class.
It's a class for teachers.
It's a legal class. It's a class about legal doctrine. It's not a class for high schoolers or elementary school. Like, it's political theory and law theory. No one's teaching that shit in K through 12. And it's so angering.
They don't even know what it is. But they hate it.
It's just a buzzword.
They hate it, and it's everywhere. Just like woke. Like, they have no idea what woke means. They have no idea. But they made up their own definition for it, and then they just use it vociferously, and everyone else is supposed to just adopt their meaning of it. You just hate black people. That's why you say woke. Whenever you can't say the N-word, you just say woke.
Yeah, and when you
say...
And they're like, oh, critical race theory and other critical theories. Well, what the fuck does that mean? Like critical transgender theory? Like, what's going on here?
Critical climate theory?
Yeah, like, guys, just leave it alone. Like, the superintendents and principals and administrators of schools have it hard enough.
Right. They got to deal with a bunch of tablet-loving zombies.
School boards, those people are just, like, elected from, like, the general populace for the most part. They don't need that kind of, like, stuff in their lives. They don't need parents yelling at them about critical race theory because they're just doing the best they can.
And I would love to point out that they also want these critical race teachers to be packing a bazooka for when the next school shooter comes in.
Make up your mind.
And also, let's do our 10 commandments now, kids.
Other law enforcement agencies to look into parents who went to these school board meetings, and we know from whistleblowers who've come forward to this committee and given us the evidence that, in fact, the FBI opened multiple cases against multiple parents across the nation, I believe, including in my home state of Missouri. Another gross abuse, incredible political power brought to bear against everyday citizens. Why? Because they went to a school board meeting that they're paying for and asked about what their kids were being taught.
Nah, it's because they fucking threaten people, bro.
Yeah, they
That's why.
They bomb threaded the shit out of the school for weeks, and the shit was getting ridiculous. Like, you have to be able to put everybody's kids into the building to have a class.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do that because the fucking PTO moms who got pissy because they couldn't get, the Diary of Anne Frank ripped out of the headlines, or you know what I mean? Like, they were just trying to literally whitewash history. Got told to shut up at the meeting, so then they they started calling in bomb threats. That's who he's defending right now. These Christians. These are domestic terrorists, is who they are.
People who showed up to these meetings, like, threatened to get said they wanted to get a book taken out because of whatever stupid reason.
Right.
And then when that didn't happen, they're like, well, next time I'm going to bring my gun.
Right.
And, like, that's a threat. That's a threat directly to an elected official. You can't be doing that shit.
I'm sure Cash Patel will be really upset about it.
He would be. He would be so upset.
He should.
Law and order, fair and balanced.
Once again, I can't imagine. I couldn't have ever thought this would happen in the United States of America. Will you find out who was involved in this policy within the FBI? Who agreed with it? Who implemented it? Who encouraged it? Will you add
one more person to your enemies list?
Yeah.
out
it's
that,
not an
Mr.
enemies
Patel? Will
list.
you
It's
do
in
an
a
internal
glossary
investigation?
somewhere.
And will you make clear that those who supported this policy are appropriately disciplined? And will you make clear that the FBI will never do something like this?
Billy said the sheriff's woke. Yeah, that woke-ass sheriff not letting us threaten bombs at these schools.
Again.
If confirmed and pursuant to your congressional request, absolutely, Senator.
Thank you. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to target people of faith particularly those who hold pro-life convictions, do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to single out and target people of faith in order to discourage the exercise of their First Amendment rights?
There can never be a targeting by law enforcement just based on their people's faiths.
And yet,
remember, he said that, y'all, because when he gets in there and they've realized they're not going to watch this hearing, they don't know who he is. They probably didn't. They just heard the word cash. They haven't really processed it yet. But when they see Cash App and he starts making these declarations, they are going to remind him of his tier, his caste in this system. You will not be respected. Homeboy was telling you the truth.
Yet under this last administration, the FBI and DOJ together brought numerous prosecutions under the FACE Act for nonviolent protests. President Trump has recently pardoned some of these folks, but it also includes individuals like Mark Houck from Philadelphia region, from Pennsylvania, who had an FBI SWAT team arrive at his door in the early hours of the morning.
That guy, yeah.
What was that guy?
The dude, the original Josh Hawley complaint about a dude, he was some sort of pro-lifer, and he made threats to people, and the FBI showed up at his door, and he's like, "Why is the FBI at my house? I'm not violent or anything. Like, I'm not a criminal." But like, the FBI showed up just to talk to him.
Right. Oh yeah, and then he was like, the agents with the guns. Oh yeah, we covered that. That was funny. He was freaking out because they said, "Hi, have you been saying bad stuff?" Okay. Trying to find out. I'm looking for a button, sorry.
Of course, terrorizing him and his children, took him into custody. They charged him with a FACE Act violation. Why? Because he took his young son to a peaceful demonstration outside an abortion clinic. When his young son was shoved to the ground, he defended him. Mark Houck was acquitted by a...
There you go. Taking your kid to an abortion abortion protest. That's what these people do for fun.
Yeah, right? Come on, guys.
In a previous live stream on Dig on America, one of those assholes actually ended up Dutch, one of the other hosts on that show, would bring on these Republicans all the time. And man, this dude was a COVID denier. He was some like little itty bitty church pastor and all this shit. And he's like, "Well, my wife is immunocompromised, so that's why no one should get the thing." I'm like, "You are so stupid." And I'm just yelling at him. He's like, "Well, my wife has seizures, and if she takes the thing," I was like, "Well, then boo fucking who for your wife? One off the list." And he's like, "What did you say?" I'll have to dig that up and fucking reclip it because I triggered him on purpose. I was mean to him on purpose, and I got that fucker who fucking stands outside of women's health clinics with fucking those like disgusting pictures and signs and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I made him rage quit. So there's that.
A jury acquitted. Nevertheless, the FBI used their full resources, including a SWAT team, to try and terrorize him. Meanwhile, how many churches that were firebombed or pregnancy care centers that were firebombed, how many of them were protected by the last administration? Just about zero. It is an unbelievable instance of targeting. Mr. Patel, will you end this targeting? If you get to the FBI, if you are confirmed, will you end it? And will you make clear to all agency personnel?
Oh, and also because of assholes like Howley and his little let me leave their religion alone. Because of them, I think there's only one Planned Parenthood left in the state of Missouri. And there were more when I lived down there as a kid or whatever. And if like a girl needs a pap smear and she doesn't have health insurance, she can go to Planned Parenthood and get a checkup for her body so she's healthy. You wouldn't know anything about this, men, because you're stupid and you don't have women in your life that respect you enough to tell you these things. But they need to have checkups. And if you don't have insurance and you are poor, you can go and get a checkup. They were threatening to blow that place up and shoot up that place. There's fucking several, like you had to have an appointment. There's like armed guards everywhere. There was a fucking security gate. Like you couldn't even just drive in and park. Like you had to have, like it was so ridiculous. ID checks everywhere because these people were threatening to murder those people that were inside the building for getting a checkup. Planned Parenthood, 3% of what Planned Parenthood does is abortion care.
Yeah.
3%. All the rest of it is keeping women healthy.
Yeah, and this guy wants to promote those pregnancy crisis centers that are just ways to guilt women into having the kids no matter what.
Right. And that's crazy. Crazy.
Personnel, that there can be no targeting on the basis of religious belief, and this will never happen again in the United States of America, at least not under your watch.
Senator, if confirmed, and it speaks to an issue we were talking about earlier, there will be no such targeting if I'm confirmed as FBI director. And the resources of the FBI, which are funded by the American taxpayer dollars, in the 7 minutes that you and I have been talking about, 2 people have died from fentanyl overdoses, 1 person has been shot to death in this country, and 3 people have been raped. The resources of the FBI will go to that mission.
Yeah, by Republicans.
Mission set and that mission set alone, because America deserves a better brand of justice, and I'm going to give it to them.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry. Christians.
My last question for you. Do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to try and pressure the largest technology corporations in the world, the most powerful corporations in the world, the social media companies? Do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to pressure them to censor the political speech of everyday
I think Phil and Tim would get on good. I think Tim and Ali would get on good too.
American citizens to try and violate the First Amendment? Is that appropriate, do you think, Mr. Patel?
Kind of like how I'm the vivacious one and you're the factual one.
Yeah.
It's kind of, Graham has a counterpart too.
Oh.
So the counterparts of the 2 assholes should probably talk to each other. No, because then you guys wouldn't need us anymore.
No, Senator.
Will you put an end to this, Mr. Patel, if you are confirmed at the FBI?
Daily Blase. Good morning, afternoon, and good evening, all. Do hope everyone is feeling much better than ours, because absolutely standing derriere today.
Senator, if confirmed, I will work with Congress to expose any corrupt activities the FBI has participated in, especially involved in the censorship of free speech.
Because we know from the court cases that have been brought across this country, and we know from the voluminous factual finding that was done.
Voluminous, dumb fuck.
Voluminous? What the fuck?
Dumb fuck.
It's in the record that the FBI and other agencies of this government under the last administration pressured, coerced these social media companies to censor speech of everyday Americans on a range of issues, from the Hunter Biden laptop to COVID to the Dobbs decision, you name it. They tried to censor them. The Constitution doesn't permit the government to do it. The FBI tried to get the social media companies to do it. Will you end this practice, Mr. Patel, once and for all?
Senator, I will always follow the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
That's not an answer.
That's not an answer.
Senator Blumenthal's next. I want to say.
Oh, Senator Blumenthal, he's my senator.
He's done,
all right, we'll see him, and then we'll switch over to Tab.
So
we'll probably see him, and then I gotta go. But
all right,
maybe we'll do this later tonight
or something.
Oh, okay.
I expect you to be back here on time, and I'm going to have Senator Lee. I'm going to go open the Senate up now. Will you chair for me? Okay, thank you.
He's gonna wait. The Senate's closed right now.
Senator Blumenthal.
He's gonna go open
Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Patel. Thank you for being here, and thank you for visiting with me in my office at almost exactly the moment that you were talking to me. The Department of Justice was firing more than a dozen lawyers who worked with the special counsel, Jack Smith, simply because they were involved in that case. You've committed that the FBI will not be politicized. So here's your first test. Will you commit that you will not tolerate the firing of the FBI agents who worked with the special counsel's office on these investigations?
Senator.
I do not have that person in front of me.
I don't know who you're talking about, Senator, so I can't answer.
I don't have that person in front of me.
I appreciate the time to visit with you.
It is a yes or no answer, and it is your first test.
Senator, every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard, and no one will be terminated for case assignments.
And I'm not going to accept that answer, because if you can't commit that those FBI agents will be protected from political retribution.
Blumenthal used to be a prosecutor.
We can't accept you as FBI director.
All FBI employees will be protected against political retribution.
Those individuals deserve to be protected from Trump retribution. That was your first test. You failed it.
Woo!
By saying all FBI employees should be protected?
That is a test of professional diligence because it is the measure of whether you will stand up and say no to the president if he gives you an unlawful or illegal order. Let me turn to the J6 choir. You know who the J6 prison choir is, don't you?
It's been referenced earlier, yes.
And you
That's
know
not an answer
about
to the
song.
question. It's just words.
It's been told to me.
In fact, you produced, you promoted, and you used to, as you put it, support, raise
Look at his
awareness
hand.
and support
Boy, retire.
for the
Yeah,
political
Blumenthal's
prisoners
on the older side.
still
Go
locked
home.
in jail. Those J6.
Oh,
you go.
he came with paperwork.
Print that shit out. There you go. Blumenthal, he's got the experience.
He even highlighted it.
Yeah, because you know.
What sentence do you want me to read? Don't remember.
Political prisoners?
I don't know everyone in the J6 choir.
That's what you said.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. No way. He just tried to slide that one past.
Jail. Those J6 choir, were they political prisoners?
I don't know everyone in the J6 choir.
That's what you said.
That's
correct?
not how I read it, Senator.
This is your tweet.
This
That's
is what
your
you
whole
said.
statement.
That's your tweet. Or
I'm
You
reading
won't
it now.
stand
Truth,
behind
that's
your
his truth.
own statements made in tweets, countless of them. As a matter of
Well,
fact,
let's read it real quick. J6 PCJ. Okay. Justice for All by the J6 Prison Choir and former President Donald Trump. This powerful and moving song raises awareness and support for the political prisoners still locked in jail without trial following the January 6th protests in 2021. J6 Prison Choir consists of individuals who have been incarcerated as a result of their involvement in the January 6th, 2021 protest. For election integrity. Now that is some whitewashing.
Yeah.
They have sang the anthem every night since being incarcerated. Let's help too.
Boy,
Wow.
oh boy.
Wow.
in fact, as you put it to Steve Bannon on his show, then we went into a studio and recorded it, mastered it, digitized it, and put it as a song, now releasing it exclusively in the War Room. That was the J6 Prison Choir song.
And all proceeds were given away to charity to help families
And you
in
called
need.
them political
But I thought you didn't know who it was.
Yeah, I thought you didn't know anything about that.
He don't even know which way to lie anymore.
prisoners. Julian Cater. Do you know what he did?
I don't know who that is, Senator.
I bet you don't.
Well, he's one of the J6 Prison Choir.
You seem to know more about it than I
Identified
do.
in a court filing.
Yeah, Blumenthal, are you part of the J6 choir? You seem to know a whole bunch about it.
Fucking dumbass.
Sir, you're deflecting.
Yeah, a bit.
And you're saying now you don't know who he is? You glorified him and the rest of that choir? He's the one who sprayed U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick with pepper spray. Officer Sicknick died the next day. Cater admitted his violence. He pleaded guilty to assaulting assaulting a political officer, a police officer.
Yeah, there you go, Blumenthal.
Do you believe
Jesus
that
Christ.
Julian Cater was a political prisoner?
Senator, I'm not familiar with his case. You seem to know a lot more about it than I do. And as I've said repeatedly,
I don't know if that's the flex you really think it is when you're supposed to sit up there and be knowledgeable about
right?
things. You're just like, look, I don't know anything. So therefore, no questions. Next question.
will always utilize my resources to help Americans in need, which is what I was trying to do here. And I've never once advocated for political violence or violence against law enforcement.
Ryan Nichols. Ryan Nichols also pleaded guilty to assaulting a police officer. He was one of the J6 choir. He pushed the crowd against officers defending a door to the Capitol and sprayed officers with pepper spray. Was Ryan Nichols a political prisoner?
Same answer, Senator.
How about Jordan Mink, another member of the J6 choir?
I don't know who he is.
Yeah,
James
you do.
McGrew,
You hang out with him.
a political prisoner.
I don't know who that is.
Right.
James McGrew pushed and struck officers and launched a handrail toward them. And you glorified him. You promoted and produced a song to raise money for them.
Right.
And you now want us to believe you don't know who they are?
No part of that song or anything I've done in my 16 years of government service glorifies or advocates for violence against law enforcement. And the fact that you would be willing to say that in front of these people in the American audience shows how much of a divide we actually have to restore a law enforcement that is constitutionally based, de-weaponized, and depoliticized. You have my commitment to do that. In your office, we had a lot of common ground. I'm committed to working with you on things like Section 230 and making sure the citizens of Connecticut aren't pillaged by Chinese fentanyl.
I welcome your statement, Mr. Patel, but it doesn't answer my question.
Right.
And it doesn't go to your credibility in denying you know who these people are after, and I have to say, in this tweet and in others, I have a raft of them. I'm going to ask the chairman that they be made a part of the record. If there's no objection.
Without objection.
You glorified, you promoted, you supported these individuals. Ronald Sadlin, he struck an officer in the head, hand, and shoulders and grabbed another officer. Was he a political prisoner?
I don't know who that is, Senator.
Well.
Yeah, you do. You guys are old friends.
The simple fact.
He's not asking if you know who he was. That's the thing that's pissing me off. Like, maybe it's like my ADHD or wherever I am on the spectrum, but I am listening to Blumenthal and I'm writing the question down in my head, and it's in pen. This dude is over here in mud writing drawing a picture of himself. That does not answer the question, sir.
Yeah, like, come on.
It's the square peg round hole here.
Fact is that you knew about the J6 choir. You knew what they did in assaulting and endangering police officers who sought to defend the Capitol on that day, were severely injured, and some, as a consequence, died. I think the FBI deserves better.
Woo!
The men and women in the FBI put their lives on the line every day. I've worked with them as United States Attorney for 4.5 years, and then as Attorney General off and on for 20 years. I've admired them for the 14 years that I've been in this body. I think they deserve better. Thank you.
Damn.
As we turn to Senator Cruz, I'll notice that
I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed.
Oh, man. I'm sad that I'm going to miss Senator Cruz.
Oh, shit.
But I gotta get out of here.
Yes. Last comment from Scott. Hey, Beck. Mikey and Tim, in the end, Patel can't admit to anything he said and done. It's all just a fucking show. Like, again, I hope he enjoys this dog and pony show. They're going to fire your Indian ass. Like, it may not be today. It may not be next week. But Steve Bannon and Elon are going to be like, I don't know about that one over there.
Yeah, right? He makes it, I think he makes it a year before they're like, time for the next guy.
Like, Howley will be right there with him, baying on the fresh blood of the Indian man. Like, they are going to go after him.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to go after his wife. They're going to go after his kids. It's not going to be Democrats because, as you can see, they are not capable of defending themselves. It is going to come from the right, and they are going to be so racist to him. But he'll learn.
So racist. So racist.
He will learn. Well, fine, Tim. Run away.
Yeah, I gotta go. I have to go pick up my car. It got fixed. I hit parts of a tree with my car, and my car was not happy.
Oh, you're gonna miss Hakeem Jeffries.
I know. Well, Hakeem is in the house, so I don't know who that guy is, but it's not Hakeem.
Oh, what am I always say Hakeem Jeffries. Cory Booker.
Oh, Cory Booker. Is he wearing? Corey.
He's got a little bit of a beard now. I didn't recognize him.
He looks like he bulked up.
This is a camera angle. I think he's always been like that.
Oh, maybe. But yeah, join us later today.
Yes.
At 9 p.m. Eastern, and I think we're just going to do Speaking from the Center and watch more of this stuff.
Okay.
We'll watch Gab.
Oh boy. Yo, we'll make Ollie watch Gab.
Yeah, we'll make Ollie watch it. That'll be fun.
He'll enjoy her non-answers.
So join us 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central tonight. Speaking from the center, more Senate confirmation hearing stuff.
Waiting for tonight. Oh. But you can go ahead and go, Tim. I'm gonna keep going for a little bit.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye. Make a cool face when you leave, so that it'll be frozen. Oh, he ended the call. That's okay. I'm still here. That's funny. Onward.
Brett Reynolds is.
Maybe, but it doesn't ring a bell at this point. So.
You're under oath. You have no recollection of who Brett Reynolds is?
He sees the picture now. Tim, that's great. What are you talking about? And now that you're gone, I can do whatever I want with you. I might just like, do what I please. That looks great. You're very handsome. Go get your car.
Provide me with a little more context I could possibly remember.
Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations?
Senator, just to be clear, I did not participate in any of those DOJ decisions.
Sir, that's a yes or no question. Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations? Yes or no?
I'm not aware of that,
Thank you.
Senator.
There is no evidence of wrongdoing by FBI employees involved in these investigations. If you do pursue investigations of those involved, will you commit to using standard processes, including a standard review by the FBI Inspections Division and the Inspector General?
Senator, I will honor all those review processes.
You will honor those review processes?
Yes, Senator.
If these are actions that the FBI employees, if there are actions against FBI employees that do not follow those standards process that happen before you get in, will you commit to reversing any decision prior to your arrival so that those standard processes and the standard review by the FBI Inspections Division will take place?
I don't know what's going on right now.
Scott, where do you go to scream, Mikey? Are you on Strong Pharmaceuticals to handle this shite? If I wasn't such a history buff and if I didn't know all the characters as well as I do, I would be a lot more worried. You know what I mean? All of these assholes are completely incompetent. They have failed up their entire lives. They have the keys to the castle, and now they're trying to, or they're driving the cart, and they are driving the cart directly into a ditch. Half of the horses are in the ditch already. We're going to go in the ditch, you know, so I'm just resolved to the fact that we are going in the ditch. And at this point, it is making sure everybody's seatbelts are on, you know, in the cart and all that shit. Like, that's all we can do. They're going to fail miserably and spectacularly. And it's going to be expensive. Like, they just fucking scammed all these fucking people for this fucking AI money just for China to make one for pennies on the fucking dollar. Who would have fucking thought? There we go. Move that over there. Swoop. Oh, go. Oh, go. Hey, that looks kind of sick, though. Hey, it's too big. It's too big. Don't use that. It's too big. Yeah. So this sham court of jesters that Trump is surrounding himself with, it only serves one purpose. And it's to gratify him and to make him feel good and to get the shit that he wants to. Like, that's the whole point of this. You know what I mean? And these guys represent that the American spirit of failing up by making nothing but wrong decisions, but constantly getting rewarded for your bad decisions and bad behavior, right? Trump is the epitome of that. He has never been able to accomplish anything without everything around that thing being salted and scorched to earth. You know what I mean? Like, he can't function because he's not good at anything. But that makes all the rest of these nerds feel good about themselves because they're not good at anything. They could be good at stuff, but they're lazy. They are turbo lazy. I'm trying to get my phone to turn back on. It's a whole thing. Come on, baby. Damn it. But they just have this protective shell that they like to cover themselves in, and it's mediocrity. It's like, well, at least I'm better than that guy. Well, at least I'm better than that guy. At least it's like, no. You have every advantage given to you. You should be soaring past the stratosphere. Everybody else, given the same situation, will be skyrocketing through life with successful, beneficial things in their wake. These men are given every opportunity and they can't do anything. They can't successfully do anything. And that frustrates them, right? Like, they are pissed that they can't just, why isn't this working? Why don't people like me? Elon's running around here. Oh, wait, I got the fucking thing. Hold on. He is the richest fucking person on the planet, and he has time to stand on a stage dancing around with Donald Trump. He's missing shit in his life. You know what I mean? Like, these dudes are missing the value, the fulfillment that you get from completing a task that's too hard for you. Overcoming something that you're not supposed to be able to do. They don't have that life experience. They haven't lost, the championship one year and then come back and won the next year against the same team. They don't have that underdog, I'm going to make it after all attitude. They've been handed everything from first day. They've been handed everything. So now that they have everything, they have no idea what to do. And then they're just looking around for enemies for all the people that said they would have never have made it to that point. They don't get that they're driving the boat. Like they've staged a mutiny, killed the captain, but they don't know how to set the sails. Like, what do you plan on doing with this boat now that you've captured it? And they don't have any ideas. What are they going to do about people's health care? Are we still waiting for the concepts of a plan? This guy wants to go after the agents that helped Jack Smith collect his evidence. Trump committed crimes. That's not the guy's fault. He showed up to work. Well, he said he's going to protect him. We'll see.
Now over there, but I'm committed to you, Senator, and your colleagues that I will honor the internal review process of the FBI.
Have you made any commitments to anyone about pursuing any investigations or targets if you are FBI director?
Only violent criminals and terrorists.
Have you had any conversations with anyone on the transition team about pursuing any investigations or targets?
Only following the Constitution.
Again, are you certain?
That I've...
Because this is under oath, by the way.
Told people on the
Are you certain? Have you had any conversations with...
Oh, Scott, I think he's just talking about my rant.
anyone on the transition team about pursuing any investigations or targets?
Senator, to the best of my recollection, I've only said I will use the Constitution.
Have you discussed specific investigations or targets you would pursue as FBI director with the President of the United States?
Senator, to the best of my recollection, no.
Are you certain?
To the best of my recollection, no.
According to...
He just lied.
Public reports, you were subpoenaed by the federal prosecutors to testify as a witness before the grand jury investigation investigating the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. And you testified before the grand jury, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you were before the grand jury, you pled the fifth on the basis of self-incrimination, correct?
I utilized my constitutional rights during that process with the advice and consent of counsel and appeared before that grand jury.
I will take that as a yes. And you are familiar, I imagine, with Section 6002 of Title 18.
Off the top of my head, Senator, not.
Dude, what do you do all day if you don't have a damn thing memorized? Look at that face. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Know this? What do you want me to do? Know the answer to any of this shit? You want me to know any of the relative statutes that I'm supposed to be? God damn, dude. See, like, how is this guy's gonna succeed? He doesn't know anything. He only knows how to get retribution. So cool. Let's say you get your retribution. What then, dude? You take over the ship. What are you gonna do then? How do you get us into port? How do you go to the next city? How do you do anything? They don't know. Just go back to fucking rowing the boat, man.
Well, Section 6002 is the immunity statute. Whenever a witness refuses to testify or provide other information before a grand jury based upon the privilege against self-incrimination, the court can order the witness to testify. The witness must comply with the order, but they receive immunity, which means that no testimony or any other information provided before the grand jury can be used against them in any criminal proceeding. You were compelled to testify as a witness in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case. Did you participate in any criminal conduct involved in that case?
Involved in which, the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case?
Yes.
The one he just
No,
read.
I testified through compulsion by court order.
You received immunity for providing information that was self-incriminating. Do you remember the name of the prosecutor who questioned you?
There were multiple, Senator. I do not.
Was it one of the people, were any of them people that were fired this past week?
I have no idea, Senator.
Wow.
Are you certain you're under oath?
I'm aware that I'm under oath, Senator, and I have no idea, and I did not participate in the removal of any DOJ.
Wow. There you go. I would never use I would never politicize the FBI. Wow.
Prosecutor.
What was the information you provided that you received immunity for?
Senator, I would love my grand jury testimony to be released, but as you know, that grand jury testimony has been sealed by the Department of Justice, and I'm not allowed to discuss it here.
Well, I find it troubling that you do not know the law here.
Right.
And let me tell you what the law is. Rule 6 governs grand jury proceedings. Under Rule 6E, grand jurors, court reporters, and prosecutors are bound to secrecy. But witnesses are not bound by secrecy. You were a witness in the classified
It's not my fault, Bill. I've been hanging out with Graham too much.
documents case. You are not bound by secrecy. You can tell us everything that happened in that room and everything you testified about. I'll ask you again, what information did you provide to the grand jury?
In this, we are agreement, Senator. Get my grand jury testimony. I want it made public. I asked the Department of Justice to make it public, and they refused to do so.
There is no legal bound against you telling us right now what you testified to.
When I asked for my transcript to be released,
Sir, did you or did you not commit a crime?
Senator, I did not commit a crime.
Then why won't you tell us what you testified to?
Because it occurred over the course of 3 weeks. I don't have the ability to recall everything I testified to, but I'm asking you to put my transcript out.
Did you testify to witnessing the President of the United States declassifying documents?
Senator, what I testified to is best captured.
Oh, so he said, yeah, I saw Trump declassify shit, and that's a lie. Woo, got him.
By that transcript
So
in real
you're
time.
not willing to tell Congress, after making many pledges today about transparency, whether or not you testified to witnessing the President of the United States declassify documents. In the name of all the values you have said today, did you or did you not testify to witnessing the President of the United States declassify documents?
I testified accordingly and under oath, and I encourage you to get that transcript.
And by the law of our land, you are free to tell people, what are you hiding from Congress?
Wow.
Answer the question. Did you testify to witnessing the President of the United States declassifying documents, yes or no?
Senator, the grand jury testimony is available to you. I encourage you to make it public.
As you likely know, the second volume of Jack
Wow.
Smith's report about the classified document case is not public yet. To fulfill our constitutional duty of advice and consent, the President on nominations Members of this committee have asked the DOJ to review the report. Do you agree that Congress should thoroughly review its nominees? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, last question and I'll be done. When you and I met, you told me that you wanted to remove 11,000 FBI personnel or move many of them, and you said that again today. You have looked at an org chart to understand what offices and functions that you'll be pulling from. I don't think you've done a serious analysis, but I do think you have an assignment from Donald Trump to gut the FBI. You said yourself, I'll shut down the FBI Hoover building. There are people specifically that you are targeting.
Okay, does he keep changing the fucking page like in the wrong direction, or is that me?
I believe. And do you agree that you have already prepared plans to remove certain individuals from their offices? For example, individuals that will be replaced by political personnel. The political personnel that are being put in an institution that you and I discussed that has no political appointees but one, the political personnel involve these names: Erica Knight, Tom Ferguson, Greg Bitzner.
You stated your question. Would you answer? Or don't you want to? Okay.
We can move on.
Senator Blackburn.
Wow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Patel, there is...
Are you proud of this, Republicans? Does this make you proud that he just obviously just refuses, just flat out refuses to answer a pretty decent question? Like, that's pretty fair. He asked a pretty fair question. And then here comes and this is why these committee chair positions are so important. The chairman just says, let's move on. You want to move on? Let's move on. Crazy.
Absolutely no doubt that you have the experience.
Oh, Lord.
And
Mr. Schmidt, you look different.
To lead the FBI, and we welcome you here today. We are pleased that you are here. I've been listening to my colleagues across the dais and listening to their questions, and it has led me to one thing. Why are the Democrats so afraid of you?
I don't know, Senator. You'd have to ask them.
Well, I tell you what I think, and listening to their questions and your responses, which we appreciate, they know that you're going to go in and you're going to clean up that political cabal that has been over there for years. You are going to reposition the FBI to its core mission. You stated that earlier.
Attacking people I don't like. Got it.
In this hearing, and there will be no more political persecutions and no more 2 tiers of justice, and they have liked having 2 tiers of justice. They have enjoyed it.
It is so hilarious to me that crusty old white folk are now ranting about 2-tier justice system when I can guarantee you that this lady went to segregated school as a little girl. Like, what are y'all talking about? Y'all sat in an apartheid state and thought it was gravy. Well, who is this lady? What is her name? When the next camera angle flip over, I'll get it. I can guarantee you she went to, because they didn't desegregate the schools till 1965. So if you're over 60, you went to segregated school.
And it has helped them. They think in their political mission, they've enjoyed targeting Catholics. They've enjoyed targeting parents. But the American people have said they want no more of that. And our colleagues know.
Yeah, no more prosecution for people who are the dominant people, and everyone else should just fall in line already.
You're going to clean it up. I want to talk to you about the Epstein case. I have worked on this for years, trying to get those records of
do tell.
Who flew on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking, sex trafficking ring. Now, earlier I urged then...
Does she really want the answer to that? Does she really want the answer to that? Because he's sitting in Pennsylvania Avenue right now. Like, that's Trump's friend. Trump and Epstein are long, storied friends. They've been friends since the 80s. They have been friends for a long time. So yeah, let's investigate all of that stuff. Marsha Blackburn, thank you.
Chairman Durbin to subpoena those records, and I ended up being blocked by Senator Durbin and Christopher Wray. They stonewalled on this, and I know that breaking up these trafficking rings is important to President Trump. So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going to countermand missing children and exploited children going forward.
Thank you for that. I do want to touch on the political persecution. I find it so interesting that they feel like you would carry out political persecution. Your parents are with us today. They fled Uganda, and persecution from
Why was Uganda in trouble?
And I think that with your background and given your family's history, that you would never move to political persecution. Is that accurate?
Yes, Senator, that is.
And we appreciate that you would remove any kind of 2 tiers of justice from the FBI, because they have practiced that every day for years. Not all FBI agents. There are some good ones. And we
Laurel, Mississippi, which is where she's from and where she grew up, has a history of segregation and racial unrest. This history includes the establishment of private segregation academies, the exodus of white residents, and the decline of the downtown area. After integration in the 1970s, 65, private segregation academies were established to allow white students to avoid attending school with black students. White residents left Laurel for the county, accusing a decline in housing values. The exodus of white people left Laurel with a diminished tax base and decaying infrastructure. The downtown area in the historic district became a shrinking white sliver in a predominantly African American city. Oak Park Vocational School. This school was the first vocational and agricultural school for the black students in the state. It produced Olympic athletes as Ralph Boston, opera singer Leontine Price. The Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard Samuel Bowers lived in Jones County, which is where this is. So yeah, tell me more about 2 tiers. Tell me more. Tell me more about it. Where you grew up.
We certainly want.
And so, like, when people fucking forget that this is where these people are from, dude, this is why they talk like this. It's all there.
Want to keep them, but the politics has got to be moved out of the agency. Now, they've tried to frame you as being anti-police. We've discussed that some today. And I know that you grew up working with NYPD officers in your community. And I know that law enforcement groups, including the National Association of Police Organizations, have endorsed your nomination. And on top of that, your brother is a law enforcement officer. Is that accurate?
Many of my family are, yes, Senator.
How many of your family, sir?
Well, I guess the Indians have a different definition of family. We got a really big one, and they're all family.
We all love big families.
So we got a lot.
I appreciate that. But it is accurate to say that in your role, you're going to do everything that you possibly can to protect the men and women who are protecting our communities.
That is of the utmost importance.
Thank you. I want to go to the Nunes memo. You were the principal author of the Nunes memo. Is that accurate?
Yes, me and staff.
Thank you. And that...
PC in the chat says she has attended functions of and met with leaders of far-right groups, was a supporter of the Tea Party. Like I could be like this really crazy reactionary guy, or I could be like Nostradamus. Like, it's right there. Like, these people are not proud or not ashamed They're very proud of their past.
Did really so much to focus the light on the Russiagate hoax and the political cabal that was for years operated out of the DOJ and the FBI.
Oh, you mean the one that Facebook paid a settlement for?
I know that there are some that felt like that memo was not accurate. We know now differently. And I'm quoting a comment that was made about that memo and by a member of that House Intel Committee, and I quote, "It was meant only to give Republican House members a distorted view of the FBI," end quote. I find it so interesting. They use the term distorted view. I think the American people who for 4 years under Biden saw the FBI weaponized against them, against parents, against people of faith, weaponized against President Trump. I think they would disagree with that. Do you stand by the good work that you did on the Nunes memo?
Our team, and yes, absolutely.
And the Nunes memo was accurate in its description of the details, correct?
As confirmed by the Inspector General, the Special Counsel, because the Nunes memo only contained sworn information received pursuant to transcribed interviews.
This isn't funny, but it says in her Wikipedia, she placed 4th place in a beauty pageant. I don't know why that's funny, but it's just funny.
And production of government materials, including FBI 302s and DOJ memorandum.
So the Nunes memo is accurate.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that. In your new role as director, how will you work to root out 2 tiers of justice at the FBI?
The same way I have always done so, ma'am, with the utmost fidelity to the Constitution and integrity to law enforcement. Government must allow those who are privileged to serve to execute their law enforcement duties fully, but at the same time, the American people deserve accountability inwards to government, to any of those who violate that sacred trust.
And as
Hold the fucking phone. Hold the fucking phone. Hold the fucking phone. Blackburn was a member of the Chi Omega sorority, the Sigma Alpha Epsilon Little Sisters of Minerva, an auxiliary to a male fraternity, and was elected both as secretary and president of the Associated Women Students at Mississippi State University, wherein she worked to advance social issues through the AWS Zero Population Growth and the AWS Venereal Disease programs. So I'm like, zero population growth? What is that all about? Population Connection, formerly Zero Population Growth, or ZPG, is a U.S.-based nonprofit organization that educates young people and advocates for progressive policies to stabilize world population at a level that can be sustained by Earth's resources. Fucking fatalist, natalist eugenics. That's what she did in college. She said, you know what? We shouldn't have all these peoples. Too many peoples. Are you fucking kidding me? Tennessee, get your goddamn shit together.
As you prepare to take this new role, what are the top areas of concern for you as we look at our national security?
The top areas when it comes to national security, ma'am, have remained unchanged, and the threat dynamic has increased. It's thwarting terrorist activities and terrorist attacks here and overseas against our citizens.
No, they don't want contraception. They just want you to let people starve and let diseases kill them. That's their idea of fucking population control. What fucking weirdos.
And our allies, and it also includes CCP espionage, which is running rampant these last 5 years through our...
The biggest app in the App Store is the Chinese AI. You don't think that's not just scraping all of the data that you said that you're protecting?
Country, including our cyber infrastructure and our agricultural properties, and it also includes taking on Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, and any other adversary that wishes to harm America.
Thank you. I look forward
Israel would be very offended if you left them out.
to a yes vote on your confirmation.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Padilla.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yes.
Since the senator from Tennessee raised my name, I'd like to respond.
Please go ahead.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Chairman, while I was chair of the committee, protecting children from sexual exploitation was one of our highest priorities. We chaired hearings on kids' online safety.
Hey, that's my senator.
We decided on a bipartisan basis to call the big tech CEOs in for an important, maybe historic meeting of this committee. Last year, the committee reported 6 bipartisan bills to help protect child safety online, including one of my own, Stop CSAM, and Senator Blackburn's Report Act. In the previous Congress, Senator Blackburn and I led legislation that was signed into law that eliminated statutes of limitation for federal civil suits by survivors of childhood sex abuse. I've worked to ensure the DOJ's unethical non-prosecution agreement with Jeffrey Epstein is investigated. As I've argued in this committee, my Inspector General Access Act would allow the Inspector General to investigate that. Yet, in 2023, I was falsely accused of preventing releasing the names of Jeffrey Epstein's network by Mr. Patel, when my Republican colleagues prevented Senator Blackburn from offering an amendment to the flight logs. Prior to the committee's November 9th.
Oh, so he tried to tell on Epstein, and then y'all blocked it. And then y'all like, yes, look into Epstein. Now you can look.
2023 Supreme Court ethics subpoena markup, Senator Blackburn had never raised Epstein's flight logs with me publicly or privately. During the November 30th, 2023 Supreme Court ethics subpoena authorization markup, I tried to recognize her multiple times, but there was an effort to close down the committee before any further business went forward on the Republican side. Many Epstein records, including flight logs, have been public for years. My office subsequently reached out to hers to try to identify what records she was actually seeking. We did not receive a response.
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond to Chairman Durbin. I had raised the issue with Chairman Durbin. I had raised it on the floor that we wanted to get these records. And then during that hearing that you're recognizing, sir, or that you're mentioning, I sought recognition. It was not my Republican colleagues that ended that hearing. Mr. Chairman, you had the...
So in 2018, oh, here we go, 2024. So in 2024, she won by 63% in Tennessee. The Democrat challenging her got 34%. I'm telling y'all, she is not the outlier here. Like, you have to take criticism of people for what they say and do as real criticism of what they say and do. These people are racists. They are coming from a network of racists. They back each other up. They support each other. Everybody's not normal like you.
The gavel. And you were the chairman. And you sought not to recognize me. And I know, and you know, and so many people are aware, sir, that you and Christopher Wray did not want those out. And I know we need to move on for questions, but Mr. Chairman, we have fought this issue for quite some time. I look forward to having an FBI that will work to help get these records and end this human and sex trafficking in this country.
15 seconds.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
The senator from Tennessee knows what the 2-hour rule is. The 2-hour rule takes the gavel out of the chairman's hands, and that was what was being executed when you were seeking recognition and being executed by your side of the aisle.
Okay. Senator Patel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So y'all ran out of time, and it was my turn. And then you said, well, I was going to tell you the stuff, but I ran out of time. Yeah, okay. Sure you were.
Colleagues,
sure
you know, it's not just the nominee for FBI director that's before us today, but there's been a lot of chaos and confusion this week in regards to executive orders that have been issued as it pertains to the federal budget, federal spending, hiring freezes, et cetera. But relevant to this confirmation hearing called...
The last person was, what was her name again? Marsha Blackburn. This is Padilla. I forget where he's from.
Colleagues, the FBI has paused its new academy classes while they assess how the firing freeze impacts them. President Trump's executive orders has a national security exception but it is unclear how it will apply to agencies like the FBI. The FBI has a large civilian employee population, so it's not certain if they will qualify for exceptions. The White House memo stated that nearly 1,000 probationary FBI employees
He's
would
from
stay
California, San Francisco.
They would stay on only if, quote, justified, without clarity on a timetable or process for justification. Mr. Patel, how does this help or does this hurt the FBI improving public safety in America?
Senator, I know about as much as this late-breaking news as you do by reading it in the media, and I will say the following in terms of FBI employees, if I'm confirmed. FBI employees represent the front line of defense for national security and crime, and if I'm confirmed, I will ensure that all FBI graduates of the Academy will be protected and funded so that we can continue the fight together.
But would you agree that even just causing a pause or confusion in being able to grow the ranks is not helpful to public safety in America?
Not having a law enforcement there.
Thank you. 7 minutes goes by fast, so I want to get to as many topics as I can. As you know, the FBI plays a critical role in national security and public safety, yet the reports are that the hiring freezes is damaging. And I want to submit for the record, Mr. Chairman, a New York Times article outlining.
Like, Padilla's fine, but West Coast Democrats are different. I'm not from the West Coast, so I don't have the same political leanings that they do.
The questions and concerns I just stated. Now, on to the next topic. FBI agent.
It says on his Wikipedia, Padilla's first professional role was as personal assistant to Senator Dianne Feinstein, who literally like died in office. Like, they have this weird kind of like legacy bullshit where people like to sit in office for 55 fucking years. Meanwhile, the fucking country's burning and the fascists are marching, but whatever.
Agents rely on their leadership to ensure their safety and success of operations. As Senior Director for Counterterrorism at the National Security Council, you were involved in a SEAL team rescue mission to recover a 27-year-old American hostage in Nigeria. According to former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, you falsely informed senior leadership that the United States had secured permission to fly over other nations' airspace en route to Nigeria. This misinformation forced the aircraft to circle the border for an additional hour, potentially jeopardizing the mission's success. And
he tweeted about it? You tweeted about a mission? Oh, brother.
Nigeria. This misinformation forced the aircraft to circle the border for an additional hour, potentially jeopardizing the mission's success and putting service.
They blocked the funding freeze when Angry Pagan
members at undue
because he's
risk.
not allowed to do that.
Your decision to falsely claim airspace permissions had been secured for the mission.
I greatly appreciate this. This is one that hits home squarely because my guys, my friends, were on that operation. They were in that helo. They were in that V-22. And there's never a time in my career that it would jeopardize the safety of the men and women in uniform.
He just listed a time that you did.
If you ask the National Security Advisor of the President of the United States, who's with me on that day, who has gone on the record publicly, as has General Tony Tata, who's the Undersecretary of Defense, they have both stated with affirmation that I acted appropriately, relayed all information accurately, and never jeopardized the safety of the hostages. And our men were on the ground for 59 seconds and executed 6 sentries and rescued an American hostage named Phil Walton, and he's home today with his family because of it.
So your friend's word versus the former Secretary of Defense. That's what we're going to be asked to consider. Next topic. In September of 2024, just a couple of months ago, you stated that Chris Wray was caught illegally using 702 collection against
the baby Jesus. What is the collective name for a bunch of Republican nominees? Let us put our thinking caps on and then yell it out when we think of it.
Against Americans 274,000 times. That's a quote. And you criticized Congress for failing to implement necessary reforms when reauthorizing Section 7.
Well, if you guys have questions about stuff, I'm sorry. I'm very, not great at this. So if they're saying things that don't make sense, ask questions, and I'll explain it.
702. Now, earlier in this
if I know
hearing,
And if I don't know, I'll make it up.
I heard you.
But it'll be funny.
Respond to Senator Cornyn's questions and saying that the improvements to FISA 702 accountability go a long way. That's what you said today, earlier, on the record and under oath. But on that September podcast that I'm referring to, you said that by passing the reauthorization bill, Republicans, quote, bent the knee. So which is it? They bent the knee and didn't reform 702 as you would suggest, or that they've gone a long way?
Senator, as I've talked about extensively with my experience with 702, it is a necessary tool to protect this country. The FISA court themselves issued the report you're referring to about the illegal searches. They found 270-some thousand violations. So I think we need it, and I think we need to work with Congress to reform it.
Let me rephrase my question more bluntly. Which is your opinion on the most recent reauthorization of 702? That Republicans bent the knee for not insisting or adopting significant reforms, or that reforms have gone a long way? Because they seem like contradictory statements.
702 is a critical tool, and I'm proud of the reforms that have been implemented, and I'm proud to work with Congress moving forward to implement more reforms.
So they bent the knee, but now you're proud of it. Got it. Next topic. I know you've been asked about the J6 prison choir prior in this hearing. My question is not going to rehash previous questions. Funds have been raised, as you explained to me in our meeting last week, to support families of insurrectionists, my words, clearly not yours, that have been in jail, including those who committed acts of violence against police officers. I want to know,
I didn't know that anybody did violence on January 6th. I wasn't aware.
Any of your work around the J6 prison choir, was any of the funds that were raised used to support the families of the police officers who were brutally attacked by the insurrectionists?
Good question.
Senator, my foundation has used funds to help police
Yes or
officers
no?
across the country.
It's a yes or no.
I don't know if those officers' families applied for a grant. That's how we distribute at a charity, based on who comes
that
in.
tells me a lot about your care and prioritization of the police officers you claim to support, because
They've given away over $500,000 to law enforcement and active
but you
duty
can't
militaries.
articulate. I mean, you were able to articulate to me examples of the families of January 6th insurrectionists.
Right.
Because the insurrectionists in jail, you're supporting the families, but you can't, say clearly and confidently that families of police officers who were brutally attacked got similar support. Next topic.
Your time's up.
Okay, I'll save it for the second round. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Before I call on Senator Schmidt, I have a letter that I want to put in.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I got to check on the baby. Sorry, you guys are going to have to suffer through this. Be right back.
Rescue story. It's from General Tata. What people that bring this up don't tell you is that General Tata has denied the exchange reported in the Atlantic and has forcefully defended Mr. Patel. General Tata said, "I never heard the words that somebody's saying they heard from me. That's not a quote from me," end of quote. General Tata wrote to the committee and said it was, quote, irresponsible, end quote, to say Mr. Patel jeopardized the mission. He said, quote, Cash played a critical role in that and many other successes during his tenure precisely because he cares so deeply about America, its national domestic security, and her citizens. So by unanimous consent, I will put this letter in the record. Any disagreement? I hear none. Senator Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see you, Mr. Patel. It's great to have your family here. I know they must be very proud. I have to tell you, I saw up close and personal how politically weaponized the FBI had become. In my former job as Attorney General of Missouri, we brought the Missouri versus Biden lawsuit, which uncovered this vast censorship enterprise where the federal government coerced and colluded with some of the biggest companies in the history of the world to suppress speech. And not just that, actually to pre-bunk the Hunter Biden laptop story. The FBI had the laptop in November of 2019. They met with senior executives. Yoel Roth, who was the main guy at Twitter at the time signed an affidavit saying they were talking specifically about the laptop. It could be Hunter Biden's, pre-bunking it, calling it a Russian hack and leak operation. They knew it was true. They knew it was his laptop. So the rot is deep, and the time for you is now, and I'm glad, because reform is needed. Senator Durbin referenced your book. I think it's a good, everyone should read the book. Because I want to ask you about some quotes that are in the book, because a lot's been made of it. Usually just some of the endnotes, but the content of the book. Did you say in the book, American justice must never be selective. If the law is applied unevenly, democracy crumbles. Did you say that?
I did, Senator.
When agencies like the FBI and the CIA prioritize politics over truth, the nation suffers. Did you say that?
I sure did, Senator.
Accountability isn't optional. Those who violate the public trust must face real consequences, regardless of their rank or title. Did you say that?
I did, Senator.
Okay. There's a lot more in there. I know that Senator Tillis has got the game of bingo. I'd like to play another game. Would you rather?
Let's have at it, sir.
Would you rather the FBI prosecute and persecute parents who voice legitimate concerns at school board meetings, or should it investigate domestic terrorists who commit school shootings and threaten the lives of American children?
Absolutely investigate and prioritize the safety of our children and any actual and real domestic terrorists, as I've prosecuted in my past in the Obama Justice Department.
Would you rather the FBI be weaponized by investigating presidential candidates, political opponents, spying on and wiretapping candidates' advisors, or should the FBI get back to its core mission and get politics out of the FBI?
There should be no politics in the FBI, and having been a victim of the weaponization of law enforcement against me, I know what that feels like, and if I'm confirmed, I will make sure no American feels that sleight of hand ever again.
Would you rather the FBI target traditional Catholics as extremists, or should the FBI focus on investigating actual threats posed to the American people by cartels pumping fentanyl into our communities through the southern border?
100,000 deaths due to fentanyl and drug overdoses in 1 year. I'd rather the FBI focus on that and save our children.
Would you rather the FBI ignore when thugs threaten to harm and plot against Supreme Court justices, or should the FBI actually investigate that and get to the bottom of it?
I'm so glad you brought that up, Senator. This body passed a law to protect our justices of the peace, including the Supreme Court, and every single justice of the peace deserves that enforcement of that law so they can do their duty.
Would you rather the FBI pressure social media companies into censoring conservative viewpoints, or should it focus on what the FBI should get back to, which is investigating interstate crimes that threaten the well-being of Americans?
No censorship. Let's focus on investigating interstate crimes.
Would you rather the FBI raid the home of a former president and chief political rival, going through the First Lady's personal belongings, spreading out documents on the floor staged, or should it raid the homes of terrorists who seek to harm citizens?
Let's let our men and women in law enforcement kick down the doors of terrorists and narco traffickers and pedophiles and put those people in prison where they belong.
So, I mean, I could go on and on. But let me tell you what I think's really going on here. What I think's going on here is that the folks on the other side can't actually believe and can't come to grips that they're in this position right now, that they're in the minority and that President Trump is back in office. Because what they did was, after he was out of office, they tried to destroy him. They tried to financially ruin him and his family. They tried to intimidate him. They tried to throw him in jail for the rest of his life. They tried to demonize half the country. Their opening and closing argument for the last 4 years has been that President Trump and Republicans are a threat to democracy.
Diaper. Sorry about that.
But the American people
What'd I miss?
Sat in a jury box and they watched. And they weighed the evidence, and they heard all the facts, and they rendered their own verdict. And their verdict was for reform. They don't believe that the people who've been doing this in these positions have done a particularly good job before. They think the deck is stacked against them, and they saw how our justice system was turned against political opponents in a Soviet-style justice system, which moniker was, show me the man and I'll show you the crime. And by the way, I don't think they can believe you're sitting where you're sitting at right now. But guess what? You are.
Michael, will Carolyn leave it outlast the lettuce?
And you're going to get confirmed.
She's not going to make it.
And you're going to lead this agency back to what it always should have been, which is to protect the American people, to fight crime, to put the bad guys in jail, not to execute a political agenda like some banana republic form of justice where you point to the person on the other side that you want taken out and you go do that person's bidding. This country was founded on the idea that people could say what they wanted, they could believe what they want, and that the government wouldn't come after them. The government's job is not to tell you what you should think or what you can say or what you can do or what you believe. In this Justice Department under Christopher Wray and under Joe Biden and Merrick Garland has done just that. And that's why
y'all committed crimes. Y'all pled guilty. Y'all said all the things. Most of the people are out of jail by now for all the shit that they did. And then to act after the fact that these people pled guilty, even though they weren't guilty, is a large stretch. Got any evidence to back that up?
Trust has plummeted. So you got a big job. You got a big, big job. But I have all the faith in the world in you that you're going to restore that trust because you believe in the rule of law. You have an incredible personal story. You're going to get confirmed. And I wish you all the best. And you have my vote.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate that.
Senator Welch.
Thank you very much. Just responding, you guys won. There was, if you want to call it a jury box, the American people elected you.
Right.
And you're the majority party in the House and in the Senate. You've got President Trump was duly elected. But let me tell you, the source of my ongoing concern, which I regret, it sometimes does not seem to be a common concern. We had a catastrophe for our democracy on January 6th. And you're asserting that you won, and you did, and I acknowledge it. It troubles me that so many people have difficulty saying Biden won the election. And I listened to your response, Mr. Patel, and many of the people who congratulated you and your parents on your extraordinary story. I share that, so I want you to know that. But what's so...
No, he doesn't have that copy of his book in front of him, so he could deny all of that. Like, he didn't fucking write it and then go on a fucking YouTube podcast tour, going to all of the right-wing podcasts, extolling that exact fact. Like, he said it. And then people are like, hey, did you say this? He's like, I don't even know what words are.
Hard about just saying that Biden won the 2020 election. What's hard about that?
Senator, as I've said before, that President Biden was certified and sworn in, and he was the president. I don't know how else to say it.
No, say he won the election.
Well, the other way to say it is he won.
Yeah.
He was the president.
The other way to say it is he won. I can say Trump won. I didn't vote for him, but he won. You know, Al Gore said Bush won when they were having that recount in Florida. And we have had a peaceful transfer of power here in very contested elections. And I'll just be very direct with you about why I think this is of consequence. When Donald Trump has never acknowledged that he lost in 2020. And he invited people to come to the Capitol on January 6th to stop the steal. And after that happened, police officers died. People were injured. It created enormous ongoing bitterness within the country.
So I'm reading this thing real quick.
That's your boss. Do you believe that the 2020 election was stolen as...
The listing question appears as an appendix at the end of Patel's 2023 book, Government Gangsters. It names more than 50 current or former U.S. officials that he claims are members of the executive branch deep state, which he describes as a dangerous threat to democracy.
President Trump says it is?
Sir, my opinions on the 2020 election have been expressed in this hearing, and he's entitled to whatever opinions he wants.
Do you agree with him that the election was stolen in 2020?
Senator, millions of Americans expressed concern going back to multiple elections over election integrity.
You know, you're so skillful. You understand what I'm asking you. Can you say the words, Joe Biden won the 2020 election?
Joe Biden was the president of the United States.
He can't say it.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on this.
So that's the thing. That's the purity test, right? Like that. Like again, this is just me being weird, but this is the thing that Trump says you better not ever say. Don't tell anybody I lost. If you tell anybody I lost, your ass is out of here. I'm not a loser. I didn't lose. They cheated. And look at this grown ass man asked 4 fucking times in a row. Did Biden win?
Back to multiple elections over election integrity.
You know, you're so skillful. You understand what I'm asking you. Can you say the words, Joe Biden won the 2020 election?
Joe Biden was the president of the United States.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on this. There's a difference. I can say the words.
Look at the fear in his
Donald
face.
Trump won. I don't like to say it, but I must say it. And you cannot say that Joe Biden won the election.
What I can say is the same for both of them, Senator. Both of their elections were certified, and they are both, one was and one now is president.
Okay. The reason I have some concerns about that, my colleagues on the Republican side, is that whoever is the FBI director, and I suspect it will be Mr. Patel, has a boss. And he has strong points of view. He said Vice President Harris was a criminal and should be prosecuted. Is that a prosecution you would initiate?
There is no prosecution that the FBI will ever initiate because the FBI will only do investigations, and those will only be open where there's a factual and constitutional basis to do so.
Your boss has said that General Milley, who served us with great distinction, I happen to have great admiration for, should be tried for treason. Do you agree with that?
Senator, everybody's entitled to their opinion. The only thing that matters at the
He didn't ask you about other people's ability to have fucking opinions. Oh my God.
FBI is whether the law is followed.
Okay, I know everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm asking you your opinion.
Yeah.
Should General Milley
Because this
be
is
tried
your
for treason?
confirmation.
Vice President Harris, Kamala Harris, or General Milley or anyone otherwise will not be subjected to an FBI investigation. That doesn't mean the rigorous standards of the Constitution.
Right. You've talked about your devotion to the men and women in the FBI. I accept that. But as you know, President Trump used the power of the pardon to let people who are cop beaters out of jail, right? He also let a drug dealer out of jail. You're familiar with Ross, or maybe you're not. Ross Ulbricht started the Silk Road, the dark web. He made millions of dollars selling drugs, providing a vehicle by which people could get things that were going to kill them, and people died.
This is why they want crypto, by the way. It's so that they can buy women and drugs and do political favors. This is why they want dark money. This is why they want blockchain. This is why. Because it's completely untraceable.
He also sought a couple of people to murder on his behalf because he thought his empire was threatened. What is your opinion about Trump pardoning this drug dealer, attempted murderer?
My opinion on presidential pardons is that one, I was not consulted.
No.
I'm at the FBI.
I'm asking you your opinion about Mr.
Right.
Ulbricht. Should the person who created that dark web drug dealer situation, should he be pardoned in your opinion?
Senator, It's not appropriate for me to speak on pardons, but I've spoken out against pardons against cop killers and those who do violence to law enforcement, whether it's President Biden or Trump.
I'm with you on that. Okay, I'm with the chairman over here, but I'm just trying to find out on Olbrook. You're gonna, again, bottom line here, you're gonna have a tough job, and you're gonna have a tough boss, because he gets it in his mind he wants to do something, nothing gets in the way, and there's gonna become a time when an FBI.
Hold on a second. What is this?
Mr. President, you have today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Well, there you go. Black people, we're the ones that did it. Okay.
FBI director or an attorney general has to make a decision about the Constitution and what's being requested, and can that person at that time, when the important values of the Constitution are at stake, say no to a person who is insisting you take an action?
And Senator, that's why I think it's time, for the first time in this country's history, that a public defender be the next director of the FBI, because no one knows more about constitutional due process than PDs.
Well, you're appealing to mutual pride here with the public defender, but you know what? I still understand you didn't answer the question. That's the public defender in me, okay? Look, and I say this to my colleagues, we cannot have a weaponized Justice Department or FBI. And what's weaponized is in the eye of the beholder, like the prosecutions of President Trump, and I get that. We cannot have it. But what I think we all have to acknowledge when we've got a president who's basically saying a political enemy, whether it's Harris, whether it's Liz Cheney, whether it's Adam Schiff, should be prosecuted, that's doing damage to the mutual goal we have of not weaponizing a department. I yield back.
Unreal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Mr. Patel, thank you so much.
Oh my God, not Katie Britt. The things I go through for you guys, the things I fucking put myself through.
For being here, to your family. I know that this has to be such an incredible moment. Congratulations, and thank you for time to be a part of this with all of us.
Oh my God.
Look, I have been diligently listening over the last few hours, and what I have heard you say is this, that your duty is to protect American citizens, that you will work to uphold the Constitution. I have heard you say you're going to get back to making sure you focus on violent crime. You said, I want children to have parks to play in, not needles to walk on. You said, I'm going to let cops be cops. You said, we've got to get back to having full transparency. You said all requests will be responded to, and on all members of the Judiciary Committee, for that we
I
say
hate this lady.
Thank you. You said you were going to have the backs, as you always have, of law enforcement. You reminded us about being embedded in SEAL Team 6. You said our law enforcement officers deserve the very best. You said you know and you will not allow there to be victims of government overreach because it has happened to you. You talked about having no intention of going.
No one wants to hear you talk, lady.
Backwards. You have talked about making sure that we actually address drug overdoses. You talked about your work with 1.3 million active duty service members, making sure they had resources they needed. You've talked about de-weaponizing and making sure that we don't politicize the department. You said America is the greatest nation. You said you believe that because you believe in the rule of law. You have told me personally, gone will be the days of identifying a person and looking for a crime. You have said everything you do will be factual and constitutionally based. You have said there will be no targeting based on someone's faith. You have said that when these FBI agents are upholding the law, you will always have their back. You have said that there will be a singular form of justice once again.
Oh, damn it. Go away. There we go. Head of the Federal Aviation Administration to resign, allowing Trump to pick his successor. The head of the FAA, this is from December 12th, 2024. The head of the FAA, who has led a tougher enforcement policy against Boeing since a panel blew off a jetliner in January, said Thursday that he will step down next month, clearing the way for President-elect Donald Trump to name his choice to lead the agency. Who's the FAA director right now? Who's in charge? Oh, okay. Oh, it says here. Let's see what else it says here.
Again. And most importantly, I think in addition to all of this is I have really not gotten to hear you talk about the FBI. And so I would love, you mentioned in the 7 minutes that it takes one of these senators to ask you questions, that unfortunately there are, I believe you said, 3 rapes, 2 overdoses, 1 murder. Look, yesterday we signed the Laken Riley Act and the law President Trump did. And when we look at what's happening across our country with the surge of illegal migrants that have come in, when we look at fentanyl overdoses being the leading cause of death between the ages of 18 and 45, I've heard you say you want to tackle that. When we look at parents like Laken Riley's mother yesterday, as she talked.
I knew it was in here. I knew it was in here. AP put away at the bottom, though. Trump's choice this time could be affected by input from Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who had clashed with the FAA for slowing the Starship mega rocket developed by the billionaire SpaceX company. Musk, a huge campaign donor, whom Trump named to lead an attempt to cut the size of government, has accused the FAA of being overly bureaucratic. So he didn't want to play ball with Elon. Elon forced him out. He left. No FAA director. Crash. Trump's fault.
Talked about her heartbreaking loss that should have never happened. Rachel Marin's family there, Sarah Root's family there, Jocelyn Nungary's family there. They deserve an FBI that is focused on finding these criminals and getting them out of here. So my question for you is, I'd like for you to talk about that. You've talked about cleaning up America, making it safe and secure for its people.
Shut up,
Please
lady.
tell the American people your plan.
Hush your mouth. Tired of listening to you.
Is there an acting FAA director? Is there an acting FAA director?
No, there is not. No one's in charge. That's what they want.
Thank you, Senator. I really appreciate
We can save all this money. Everything can just police itself.
it. And the 2 themes that, if I'm confirmed, that I have for the FBI are really just going back to keeping it simple. 1, let good cops be cops. 100,000 drug overdoses, 100,000 rapes, 17,000 homicides. That's only with 70% of the precincts reporting in. That is violent crime exploding out of control. It's got 38,000 employees.
A drug overdose is not a violent crime. I'm sorry. It's not. It's just classified differently.
At the FBI, and as I alluded to earlier, almost a third of them work in and around the Washington, D.C. area. Well, those crimes are committed out in the rest of America. And
You got fucking Hunter Biden. You got Don Jr. You got fucking Matt Gaetz. There's all kinds of drugs in D.C. Are you kidding me right now? Elon's over there now. There's mad drugs in D.C.
I'm gonna let good cops be cops and put handcuffs on the bad guys and put child molesters in prison and put murderers in prison.
Put fucking Donald Trump in prison. He's a fucking... Oh, my...
And make sure CCP fentanyl doesn't kill another one of your constituents. That's track 1. Track 2, to restore the trust in the FBI. That has degraded, not by my opinion, by the Gallup poll, that only 40% of Americans have trust and faith in the FBI. It is a cataclysmic failure in leadership to get to that point that did not happen over time. And so what the FBI must do while tackling violent crime and protecting Americans' national security and our sovereignty is work with Congress, Republicans and Democrats, to expose any government corruption, provide government accountability through transparency.
We tried to tell y'all about Gates, right? Everyone tried to blow the whistle on Gates. Hey, investigate Gates. Investigate Gates. Gates is up to some shit. Gates is up to some shit. Gates says, hey, I'm going to fucking tell everybody that you guys are insider trading. You know what? We always did want to start that investigation on Gates. And then the fucking Trump went and like, you can't release that report. He's going to be the next attorney general. Like, these people are so crazy. Do they hear themselves? They can't. They can't hear themselves.
And get you all the documents that you are the custodians of. The FBI reports to Congress. If I am confirmed as FBI director, I will report to Congress. And I will just save you with this one caveat here about my personal experiences with the FBI. The men and women of the FBI do the most courageous work on God's green earth. I was fortunate enough to utilize FISA 702 national security measures to prevent a shopping mall from blowing up in Houston and the state capitol from being attacked in California. Courageous men and women do that work every day, and these are cases you never hear about. Instead, the only things you hear about are the baseless conspiracy theories and attacks levied at me. Well, here's something for America. You can say whatever you want about me. If I'm confirmed, bring it on. But you will not denigrate the men and women of the FBI that saved this country.
Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And speaking of, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you're going to make sure that those men and women have the opportunity to get out and about throughout the country. And so when we look at that, obviously Huntsville, Alabama, to me is a Redstone. That's exactly right. Redstone Arsenal is a beacon of what we should look at, putting our men and women out amongst the very people that they serve. And so in my next few minutes, I certainly want to talk to you about that. I'll save it for the next three. But just finishing up on what's happening at our border. We saw under this previous administration that there were about, I think, 1.7 million special interest aliens that came across our border. I think the House Judiciary Committee put it out. That's obviously from the 26 countries that DHS determines have the greatest threat here in our homeland. When you're looking at how do you tackle that? So, they're in the interior. Additionally, the people on the terrorist watch list, the hundreds of people that have been released into our country. How do you man your men and women to go and find those individuals?
Is she talking about the January 6ers? Because they're all terrorists, domestic terrorists, but terrorists nonetheless, and they all got released.
And make sure that our country is safe.
This is going to require a collection of law enforcement, what we call 1811 agents across the various agencies. Specifically, HSI and Secretary Noem are going to be prioritized with tasking and going after illegals to follow the law and the orders issued by the White House. But also at the same time, the FBI possesses an enormous amount of resources to go into our jails and find those already imprisoned and with pending deportation orders, with pending violations of their parole status. So if I'm confirmed, the full resources of the FBI, where appropriate, will be committed to that cause, but I believe primacy rests with other agencies.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Senator Schiff.
Mr. Patel, early in this hearing, Senator Durbin asked you about the January 6th choir of inmates whose song you promoted, and here's what you said. I did not have anything to do with the recording. I did not have anything to do with the recording. Do you stand by that testimony, Mr. Patel?
Yeah.
Senator, what I said was I didn't do the recording.
You said you didn't have anything to do with the recording.
Right.
Which is interesting because here's what you told Steve Bannon on his podcast. So what we thought would be cool is if we captured that audio and then, of course, had the greatest president, President Donald J. Trump, recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Then we went to a studio and recorded it, mastered it, digitized it, and put it out as a song now releasing exclusively on the War Room. We. If you had nothing to do with it, Mr. Patel, why did you tell Steve Bannon and all his listeners that you did?
That's why it says we, as you highlighted.
Yeah, and you're part of the we, right? When you say we, that includes you, doesn't it, Mr. Patel?
Not in every instance.
Well, that's new. So when you say...
He said we doesn't mean me. We as in everyone I'm associated with, but not me. I think it's fairly obvious.
Said we, you didn't really mean you. Is that your testimony?
Not unless you have a new definition for the word we.
Oh, okay.
Are you kidding me?
Mr. Patel?
Not in every instance.
When you say we, that includes you, doesn't it, Mr. Patel?
Not in every instance.
Well, that's new. So when you said we, you didn't really mean you. Is that your testimony?
Not unless you have a new definition for the word we.
Oh, okay. I always thought we included the person who pronounced the word, but maybe not. Well, you also said this, Mr. Patel.
I said we, but actually, if you'll run back the transcript, Senator, I was speaking French. I was saying, yes, I am part of the...
We were able to capture the recording thanks to their courageous singing, and we were able to take it to a studio. So let me ask you, Mr. Patel, after saying we took it to a studio.
Who's we?
Did you take it to a studio?
Me personally, no.
After you said that we digitized and recorded it and all that, did you take it to a studio and digitize and record it?
Me personally, no.
Okay, so you were lying to Steve Bannon and his audience. Is that what you're saying?
No, I was using the proverbial we appropriately, as you've identified.
The royal we. Oh, I
the
see.
The proverbial we. Let's.
And so,
okay.
You certainly promoted the hell out of it, though, didn't you?
I don't know what that means, but I promoted the heck out of raising money for families in need.
Oh, don't say hell. Hell is offensive. The heck. Oh, yes.
With promotions on social media and saying you were going to get this to #1 on the billboards, right, Mr. Patel?
I think it did.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Isn't that great? People who violently attack police have a #1 song thanks to you, Mr. Patel. That's something to be really proud of. Now, you've claimed, Mr. Patel, you didn't know about any of these people in the choir. Is that right?
I did not know about the violent offenders, and I did not participate in any of the violence in and around January 6th.
Tell me, Mr. Patel, what due diligence did you do to find out who was in the choir before you promoted their beautiful music? These people who assaulted law enforcement. What due diligence did you do?
Senator,
I think I played it last week, but it's terrible. It's terrible. It is the worst choir you've ever heard in your life. It's a shit choir. What a shit choir they are.
I didn't record it myself.
So you did no due diligence before you promoted this song by these violent felons. Is that what you're telling us?
Senator, I did not record that myself.
So you're being considered for director of the FBI. And here you did no diligence to find out whether people you were associating with now the President of the United States in song were convicted of attacking police officers. Is that who we want running the FBI? I want you to turn around. There are Capitol Police officers behind you. They're guarding us. Take a look at them right now. Turn around.
I'm looking at you. You're talking to me.
No, look at them.
He can't do it.
I want you to look at them if you can, if you have the courage to look them in the eye, Mr. Patel.
And if you got the courage to look at him, motherfucker.
Tell them you're proud of what you did. Tell them you're proud that you raised money off of people that assaulted their colleagues, that pepper sprayed them, that beat them with poles.
Like they keep saying pepper spray. Like pepper spray is like what you'd keep, like a lady might keep pepper spray in her purse. These assholes had bear spray, which is like 100 proof pepper spray.
Tell them you're proud of what you did, Mr. Patel. They're right there. They're guarding you today. Tell them how proud you are.
That's an abject lie, and you know it. I've never, ever accepted violence against law enforcement. I've worked with these men and women, as you know,
you
my entire
glorified
life,
it in song,
and I did not make a single dime out of it.
In song. Well, let me.
How about you ask them if I have their backs, and let's see about that answer.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Patel. Let me ask you this. If an FBI director promoted a song of people who sprayed pepper spray in the face of an FBI agent, would you say they were fit to be director?
Mr. Schiff?
Yes or no? Would they be fit to be director?
I am fit to be the director of the FBI.
If you were the FBI director and you promoted a song with someone who beat an FBI agent with a pole, would you say you were fit to be FBI director?
Mr. Schiff, I am fit to be FBI director based on my 16 years in government service.
And yet you did all these things, Mr. Patel. You can say, oh, I support law enforcement. I decry violence against law enforcement. You could say all that. It's what you did, Mr. Patel, that matters. It's what you did that matters. Well, let me ask you about something else, that you did, Mr. Patel? Did you claim that Donald Trump declassified all the documents at Mar-a-Lago? Did you claim that?
In what proceeding?
To the public, ever. Did you tell anyone that Donald Trump declassified all the documents at Mar-a-Lago?
From publicly available information, President Trump issued a declassification order on a variety of materials.
No, I'm just asking you, did you tell the public, did you tell anyone, did you make the claim that Donald Trump had declassified those hundreds of classified documents that were at Mar-a-Lago? Did you make that claim
From
publicly?
my best of my recollection, I said President Trump issued a declassification order to a large number of documents.
Yeah, and were you present when he declassified all the Mar-a-Lago documents?
Senator, I'm not saying he declassified all the Mar-a-Lago documents. I said President Trump declassified a large number of documents, and I would hope this committee and the rest of Congress would want to get those documents to the American people.
Mr. Patel, before a president or anyone declassified documents, wouldn't you want to know whether making the public would cause sources to be killed? Wouldn't you want to know that before you just declare they're all declassified? Wouldn't that be the responsible thing for a president to do?
It was the responsible thing for us to do. That's why we declassified the Nunes memo.
And did Donald Trump declassify?
And no one died.
And did Donald Trump ever ask any of the agencies who produced those documents whether declassifying them would put people's lives at risk? Did he ever do that to your knowledge, Kash Patel?
I don't know that he didn't. Do you?
No, that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem, isn't it? So let me just ask, Mr. Chairman, if you would, Mr. Patel has said he has no problem. He would support the release of his grand jury testimony in that case. I would ask you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, to join me in requesting, with Mr. Patel's approval, the release of those grand jury transcripts.
Yeah,
and I would also ask Mr. Patel whether you support the release of Volume 2 as it pertains to you of the special counsel's report. Any reference to you in the report, to your truthfulness, will you support the release to this committee of those sections of Volume 2?
I just checked. It didn't leak.
Special counsel's report.
I support following the law and providing whatever information the law requires.
Well, you said to the Wall
Scott said he ain't fit to be a party part donor. Damn.
Street Journal that you support transparency. Here's your chance, Mr. Patel. Do you support release of that to this committee? Yes or no?
Your time's up. Before I call on Senator Tillis,
wow.
I have letters here from law enforcement groups representing 310,000 officers supporting Mr. Patel's nomination. And they'd be like the Association of Police Organizations, National Police Association, United Federation of Police Officers, Police Benevolent Association, United Coalition for Public Safety. I'll put these in the record. Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And
oh, God.
Mr. Patel, thanks for being here. I want to thank my colleague, Senator Welsh, for being so measured and respectful in the way that he engaged with you. I just want to cover a few things, and I don't know if it'll take 7 minutes or not. I want to go back to the we versus I, since it was the last discussion. Other people may not have been paying attention. I've only missed Senator Booker's questions. But
I'm skipping him. He's so fucking annoying. I'm skipping him. We're going to go to Ted Cruz, and then I'm going to call it a day. I got to get some lunch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I got to feed this baby so she can... I got to go cut up some fruit for this baby so she can stick it in her hair for half an hour.
First round of questioning, you and I talked about the politicization and weaponization of the FBI and the Department of Justice. That has significant negative consequences in terms of undermining trust in the FBI and the Department of Justice and abusing the power of the FBI and the Department of Justice. But it also has consequences in that it diverts resources at the FBI and DOJ from urgent law enforcement and national security priorities. I will tell you, when I go back home to Texas, I am somewhat regularly asked by Texans, should we abolish the FBI? Now, my answer to that is an emphatic no. The FBI has a critical mission of stopping bad guys, whether serial killers or human traffickers or child molesters or terrorists.
Insurrectionists.
But it says something that a sizable percentage of America has so lost faith in the Bureau that they believe it should be shut down.
Like, he's been trying this beard thing for like 10 years. It's still not working, Ted Cruz. It looks worse. I don't know how, but it looks worse.
I think allowing the FBI to be politicized has resulted in far too little attention being placed on very serious national security risks that we face right now, including for the last 4 years. As a result of the open borders that we've had, over 12 million illegal immigrants have come into this country. And I believe as a consequence of that, we face a greater risk.
Undocumented. And they wouldn't be undocumented if you guys stopped gutting all the systems that document people.
Today of a major terrorist attack than we have at any time since September 11th, 2001.
We had 2 terror attacks on January 1st, dumbass. They were Americans.
You have well over a decade of experience in national security and law enforcement. In your judgment, do you agree with me as to the magnitude of the threat we face right now of a potential terrorist attack?
It's as high as I've ever seen it, Senator.
And describe to this committee what the FBI should be doing to prevent future terrorist attacks.
Working hand in glove with our intelligence community and obtaining information that directly relates to the FBI's criminal mandate on an intelligence basis and thwarting and prosecuting and stopping any terrorist attacks here and any homegrown activities abroad that are directed at the United States of America, along with countermanding the CCP espionage rings in this country, which dovetail with the foreign terrorist organization activity.
Does it concern you that Customs and Border Patrol in the previous administration instructed Border Patrol agents in particular to be on the lookout for Hamas or Hezbollah or Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists crossing our southern border? Does that concern you as a risk to Americans across the country?
That, along with the fact that the prior Homeland Secretary and the prior FBI director testified to Congress that there are dozens of known foreign terrorist affiliates in the United States of America, and they don't know where they are.
And it will be your priority to stop them. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks,
Lord.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, Blumenthal, and then I'm done.
I'm going to ask you some easy questions.
Okay.
I take it from what you have said to a couple of my colleagues that while we may disagree on the meaning of Rule 6E as to getting the transcript, you would not object to this committee seeking access to that transcript.
No.
And you're aware that Rule 6E permits you to talk about your own testimony. Will you testify to this committee, let's say in a classified setting, as to what you said to the grand jury?
Senator, I'm here to testify to this committee about everything I'm allowed to, and
you're allowed under Rule 6E to tell us what you said to the grand jury. This is kind of the first day that an assistant U.S. attorney goes to the first grand jury and is asked by a witness, can I talk about what I told you? And the answer is yes, you know.
Senator, I will consult with counsel and provide the appropriate answer.
Let me just say right to the point, Mr. Patel. What are you hiding?
Yeah,
Why won't you tell us? You testified under a grant of immunity after
can't be
taking the Fifth
prosecuted.
Amendment,
Just
as
tell
you're
us.
privileged to do. And the appearance here is that you have something to hide. I submit to my colleagues on the committee, we need to know what the grand jury testimony is. We need access to that second volume. And you have no objection to our seeking it, but you won't tell us, even
he's going to run the timer.
classified, confidential setting. I think that position is disqualifying.
That was days of testimony years ago. I don't have the ability to recollect
Well, you can
that.
refresh your recollection with access
the
to the
transcript.
Let me ask you another topic. And I really regret that you won't cooperate with us on the grand jury testimony. Would you object to the firing of the Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz?
Would I object to it? That's the providence for the Attorney General to make. It's not something I would participate in.
But you know of his work. It's been bipartisan, very thorough, competent, objective, impartial. He has been critical in Republican and Democratic administration. Won't you object to his firing?
I think he's done a great job, but it's not up to me to decide who stays
That's
and
not
goes
what
with the
he
Department of
fucking
Justice.
asked, dude.
But I'm not asking you to make the decision. I'm asking you
Jesus.
whether you will take a stand, speak up, stand up in favor of a watchdog who has helped preserve the integrity of the Department of Justice and aligned himself against waste and fraud and abuse.
If the Attorney General asked me, yes, for my opinion.
Volunteered. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Couple things. We're going to go home. I don't know if you guys
It's
saw this.
make or break.
This is at...
This is the law.
Where is this at? I forget where this is at. I forget the name of the little conference. Father Calvin Robinson finished his remarks at the National Pro-Life Summit by throwing... Well, let's just see.
This is the last stand for Christendom. It's make or break time. The whole of the old world is crumbling. Every country in Europe is embracing death. America, as far as I could see, is the only country fighting for life. And that's down to you guys. So God bless all of you for what you're doing. Please keep doing it. I hope that I can encourage you. And my heart goes out to you. God bless.
That's funny. That's funny. Look at his face. Ha ha ha. I did it. Ha ha ha. I did it. I did the thing, guys. Ha ha ha. You see? You see? It's funny. It's just a joke now. It's just a joke now. Ha 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 ha. So funny.
Country in Europe is embracing death. America, as far as I could see, is the only country fighting for life. And that's down to you guys. So God bless all of you for what you're doing. Please keep doing it. I hope that I can encourage you. And my heart goes out to you. God bless.
This Bin Podcast Network production is brought to you by our patrons, whose continued support keeps the lights on. So thank you, Ali, Dutch, Leclerc, Vert, and as always, tons of mice. We love you. That's it for me. I'm gonna get some food. We're gonna watch Tulsi Gabbard's thing tonight. So if you are around in about 6 hours, that's when that show will start. So drink some water today. You probably need it. Wash your linens if you haven't done that yet. If you haven't done that recently, it's probably about time. If you can't remember the last time you did it, it's time. Yeah. And I can't think of a third thing. Keep your head down out there, because these motherfuckers is crazy. Holler at your boy. Peace.